to the Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
That was amazing.
What a wild week of sports.
Yeah.
Since we have talked last, everything has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Seahawks, new coach.
Mm-hmm.
Mariners, new players.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, all the things, including a fight. That it's just crazy. What hasn't happened? I guess the Super Bowl hasn't happened. Andrew's been watching Pro Bowl festivities, which is weird. Who watches that?
Anything else on?
There wasn't anything else on.
Sports related.
I was gonna say, like, that you're talking like somebody who watches cable television.
No.
Like,
no,
what is on the television?
When I say there's nothing else on, I mean there's no other sporting events going on.
That's not basketball.
Sporting events.
Justin,
Yes.
you're furiously tapping away at your phone.
Okay,
What's going on?
I made a mistake.
What was the mistake?
I forgot to prepare for one of our segments.
Oh, no.
So
I can guess which one.
I'm scrambling, but don't worry, I've got this under control.
I'm starting to wonder because you have to carry at least, if not more than half of this show. And right now, you haven't said anything.
Hello, everyone. This is The Scrimmage. I'm Justin Domashevitz. Daniel Hargrove here with me, as well as trusty producer Andrew Gross. We are brought to you by Spivey Realty Group and the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz. No relation.
If it wasn't for you, what's the A stand for, then how would we ever get that stuff done? I was rambling about randomness the whole time.
I know what it's like, though.
I say live, and Daniel's brain actually goes blank.
Yep.
But in that moment, like,
It's like,
you were rambling,
yes.
and probably hoping for some support.
I was a little bit.
When you have to fill a lot of
Yeah.
empty space, rambling gets more rambly, and then
Yeah.
you look over at me, and I'm just in my phone.
Yeah.
When I
weird.
should be also interacting with
It
you.
was weird.
So bad job by me. I apologize.
It reminded me of my pregame shows for high school basketball games when I didn't get there early enough to get a coach's interview, and I have 15 minutes to fill of just me talking about how
Teams that you've probably seen
maybe
once or twice.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
that. And I'm like, this guy's tall. That should be interesting during the game.
It's different from when, we do a game together and I'm talking about Monte boys team and I'm telling you about the 9th and 10th guy off the bench because I've known them since they were 9.
Yes, and you probably coached them at some point, so you take credit for everything they've done athletically.
And I still do. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Carter
instead
Kreitz.
it's me like Aberdeen when I had Aberdeen versus Tumwater. And I was like, Tumwater's got this really tall guy on their team. But maybe it'll be a close game because their records aren't very close. Maybe nope. The last time they played, Aberdeen lost by 30. We're looking for a good game tonight, folks.
But when your kids get older and you start coaching all these kids in different sports,
yes.
then when those kids are in high school, you can do what I do. Like on senior night when Carter Kreitz came off the bench for Monte and hit 3 threes, and I was like, I coached that kid in football in grade school. I'm taking credit for those threes.
Yep, you taught him how to shoot those threes.
I don't know why it turned into Kronk just then.
Kronk, Dad.
Kronk.
Take credit for those threes.
Oh, your Kronk was so much better.
Those threes. Those are on me.
That's pretty good. What's that actor's name?
Patrick Warburton.
Yes.
Warburton.
Thank you.
Yeah, love that guy.
Yeah, it's awesome. So hopefully we'll still be doing the podcast in like 14 years then. Mm-hmm. That seems weird to think about. That's how long it's going to take.
Based on our history, I'd say we'll probably quit it for several years and then pick it back up again.
There you go. That's how we roll.
You know how else we roll? We get it going with the 2-minute drill.
Let's go, huddle up. Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation, 44 seconds, hand the ball all around. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye on 1 and 3.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
I was gonna do that.
The Seattle Seahawks have hired former Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald as their new head coach. Daniel, do you like that move?
I do like that move. I was curious as to why the process was taking so long. Turns out it's because they're waiting to talk to this guy that they weren't allowed to talk to for the longest time. And after hearing the interviews and everything, I'm like, yeah, I can get on board with this guy. It doesn't seem like it's just the next up-and-coming, flashy new thing that seems to fail 80% of the time in the NFL. But it seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders and a good plan. And I like his idea of defense, of not just, this is what we do and it'll work, but more the flexible, fluid, expect your players to be smart style. And I like that. It should be fun. Justin, your North Carolina Tar Heels beat Dookie Duke Butt Duke on yesterday. Yesterday. Darn it. I was so focused on the Dookie Duke Butt Duke.
You nailed it.
Does Duke suck?
Yeah.
And would Duke suck Duke suck?
Yes, they're terrible. I really needed it, to be honest, because after watching my Tar Heels lose a conference game on the road to a subpar team on Tuesday, I needed them to be able to play a pushover like Duke so they could get a win that really didn't stress me out at all. Duke's terrible. They have a 0.00% chance of making even the Elite Eight this year, even though they're ranked number 7.
Even the Elite Eight. I hate you so much.
The Seattle
The greatest
Mariners.
year in recent memory for Oregon State was making it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah. That was unintentional. The Seattle Mariners. You know what? Duke's going to miss the tournament.
There we go.
The Seattle Mariners. That's not true. But
Dang it.
The Seattle Mariners acquired some solid pieces via trade this week. Daniel, how much of an impact will Jorge Polanco and Gregory Santos have for the Ners this season?
Stop calling them the Nerds,
Go
but
Ners.
they're going to have a huge impact, barring what everything else is. This is going to be the theme of the Mariners. If healthy.
The Ners.
If healthy, the M's.
The Ners.
Polanco is a stud. I did not know how much of a stud he was, but he is a stud,
When
and
he's
I'm
on the field.
excited. Yes, when he's on the field, he's going to be great. And then this Gregory Santos dude, I have no clue why the White Sox traded him, but they did. So as long as he doesn't have a pitching injury, which anybody who's read the arm knows that you can just blow out your elbow at any given time, but that can happen to any pitcher. This dude looks amazing.
Yeah.
103-mile-an-hour sinker? Good luck.
Yeah, and a sink curl's even better.
A sinker roll. You haven't even seen what that pitch does.
It sinks and curls.
Oh, it's like the gyro ball. Damian Lillard's Milwaukee Buccos lost to the Blazers in his
Why
return
Buccos?
to Portland on Wednesday. Dame said he enjoyed being back. Well, he got a standing ovation that lasted an hour and hinted at returning to Portland at some time before his career being over. Justin, should Dame be embarrassed for losing to this Blazers team?
Everyone who loses to this Blazers team should be embarrassed this year because they're bad and they're not trying to win. So yes, he should be embarrassed. But mostly my takeaway from this game was I was so glad to see Dame get a warm welcome from the Portland crowd. And I'm so glad to hear that at some point, even if it's just for sentimental reasons and he's not good anymore, that he may be back at the end of his career, because I think I like him more than any basketball player of my lifetime.
Sorry, I fell asleep because there was so much basketball going on.
There was like half basketball.
Yeah, it's only half basketball. Half ball.
Half skidball.
Half skidball. I want to play that game. What's half skidball?
It's basketball, but only for people who are half the size of basketball players.
Ooh.
like pro
Like high
basketball
school
players.
basketball.
I almost fit into this category.
Yeah, like are you half the size of LeBron?
Not quite. I'm a little taller than that.
Yeah.
But do we take weight into account?
Well, if that's the case, then that wouldn't work for me at all.
Is he 340 pounds?
I don't think there's a lot of 340 pound.
I mean, 360 pounds.
360 pound. Well, now everyone knows how much Daniel weighs.
Yeah.
360 pounds.
Yep. Would you stop ruining Mariners questions by calling them the Ners?
No.
You're a Niners fan
Why
now.
did you phrase that as a question?
You
You should just tell me to stop doing
Stop it. You're a Niners fan.
Yeah, the Nerds.
Do it to them.
I already did. I did it earlier.
I know. I mean, only do it to them.
I only do it for teams that I root for. So the Mariners, the Ners. The Niners, the Ners. They're two different sports. I don't understand why it's so confusing for you.
The Tar Heels. The Eels.
He also calls all of them the Ners.
The Eels.
Yeah, the Tar Heels are the Ners.
The Ols. The Tar Heels are the Ols.
The Titans, the Ners. My Kansas City Chiefs, the Ners.
Gosh.
It's not a problem.
It's a big problem. What do you think about the Seahawks head coach? Have you ever been able to listen? There's so much that's been going on this week.
I think because,
no judgment if you didn't get a chance. But what do you think?
I think because the conversation that I was hearing immediately afterwards was this was a very coveted candidate that other teams wanted.
Yeah.
And there was so much positive about him. Like, usually there's a fair amount of people going, either I don't know if this guy can handle it, I don't know if he has the experience, and he's really young.
Super young, 36.
But
he's only a year older than me.
Nobody, and he's,
which worries me that
he's younger than me.
Coaches are going to be younger than me now.
Yeah, because
like
you're old.
Yeah.
Not me yet, but you are.
Ugh.
So, yeah, I felt like pretty positive about it. I think the one thing is, if you go back to the last super young coach who had great success,
McVay?
Right? McVay. And he was younger because I think wasn't he like 32 when he was hired or something?
Was he really that young?
He was really young.
Holy crap.
Maybe not 32, but he was really young.
Yeah.
And he came in saying, hey, I'm an offensive guy.
Right.
I'm going to take care of the offense, and I'm going to bring in a veteran defensive guy who I can just say, hey, I need you to take care of / teach me about the defensive side of the ball. And he just handed it over to him. And I'm blanking on the old fart's name that he brought in to run the defense.
Oh.
It's somebody famous.
He used to be with the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, it's a guy that everyone knows the name of, and I knew it like 2 days ago, but I forgot now.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that McDonald, who has proven to be...
He was 30 years old when he got it.
Okay, 30. That's even
Holy
younger than I thought.
Crap.
So I'm hoping that McDonald will be able to bring in a guy and say, hey, I've proven that I'm really good at running the defensive side of the ball, but I have some work that I need to do to learn the offensive side of the ball. Bring in somebody who's experienced at running an innovative offense. Hopefully you can find that because it's not that easy to find, but bring in somebody who has more experience than you and just kind of give them that side of the ball and make sure it's someone you can trust. And then you run the defensive side until you learn how to make things functional on the other side.
Wade Phillips.
Okay. So
that was going to bug me if I didn't.
Thank you for looking it up.
Yeah.
So I did feel good about it, I think, in general. There was a lot of other candidates out there I wasn't going to feel good about. Like, we got through an entire coaching cycle of coaches being hired, and there were no suitors for Bill Belichick.
Isn't that weird?
But at the same time, it is weird.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty much the undisputed GOAT of coaches.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I said from the very beginning, I don't want him. Because not only do I think that his style of coaching is probably not reaching today's players.
Right.
But he's old.
So old.
He would be the oldest coach in the league now that Pete Carroll's not a coach anymore.
He'd be like almost as old as our president.
Wow. Not nearly as incoherent, but yes. I don't want to hire a 70-plus-year-old. Is one thing if it's
right?
like, it's Pete Carroll, he's entrenched, he's already there,
yeah,
and you continue to have him as your coach.
Like,
but
if Bill Belichick were
guy,
to keep being in...
Exactly.
Yes.
And you'd feel fine about that.
Exactly.
But if you're bringing in a guy who's that old, how long can you expect to have him?
Yeah.
How long can you expect that he's going to continue to be sharp mentally?
Yep.
And you're also bringing in a guy who has the opposite mentality of Pete Carroll. Like, Pete Carroll he was a guy who could be 70 and still reach and be a part of like young men's lives. And
yep.
Bill Belichick was not that.
Nope.
So I didn't want him. But I did think it was kind of surprising that
nobody
wanted him enough to give him what he wanted, which from what some of the reports were is he wasn't going to take a coaching job unless he could also be over personnel. And he was not a very good GM.
No. I would have been okay with Vrabel.
I think I would have liked Vrabel.
I think I would have
I think I'm more happy with what they did.
Me too. I'm usually, when it comes to coaching things, I would rather have somebody new get a chance than somebody who's already failed.
Yeah.
And I think my thought on that changes a bit, because I think if you failed once, you should probably get another chance. But I would like you to prove it, even if you have to go back to being a coordinator or something first. I would like to see some sort of period of growth in between.
Yeah.
But what I didn't want was just another retread like you see happening so often. Like, it seems like every time you get coaching searches around high school football these days, it's like the same 5 guys just switch schools. And I'm like, can we just... Is it that hard to find a coach? I know it's a lot of time to put into it, but there's got to be somebody new who wants to try this out, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I was hoping didn't happen. I didn't want, like, okay. Like, I would have been okay with Vrabel because I kind of like the way he coaches.
Yeah. And he has a track record of seemingly overachieving based on his roster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I definitely didn't want that just, okay, everybody rotate.
Yes.
Which is what seems to happen in these situations.
Yeah, and it kind of didn't happen as much this year.
You're
right. I think for the most part, teams are kind of wising up to let's get a guy who has a chance to prove himself.
Yeah, and if they fail, that's okay.
Yeah.
Fire him and move on.
Yeah.
Like,
Get a great pick.
exactly.
Yeah.
The interesting thing with this is he was so sought after. McDonald was. We've heard the contract length is 6 years.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like it was cheap.
No.
So it seems like they really had to go after him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very
And they
interesting.
won him, which is
Yes.
cool. Like
Yeah.
you had a battle for a coach with other teams.
Yep.
And you got the guy you wanted.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm curious about Andrew's thoughts about this too. Did you have a general opinion of what the Seahawks did?
I liked it. I was worried that they were going to hire Dan Quinn. And I don't dislike Dan Quinn, but if you were in my opinion, if you were going to hire Dan Quinn, why did you move on from Pete Carroll?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question.
That's what I was worried about. And I feel like they did basically exactly what I would want them to do, which is go out and find the exciting new prospect and give him a shot.
Yep.
It is
Absolutely.
weird though that there's such like universal praise. It feels like.
Yeah.
Have you seen a lot of people who said no, the Seahawks made a bad move?
I don't think I've seen one person.
I don't think
say
I
that.
have either.
Yeah. And
That makes me nervous now that we said that out loud.
for sure. What about the other move that you haven't found any negative praise? Well, I guess negative praise isn't really a word. With the Mariners moves this week.
Yeah.
I think both the Polanco and the Santos deal, I'm not sure if I've seen really any negative feedback on either of those things.
Well, the only negative about Polanco
When healthy.
is that he misses a lot of games.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the 1 year in the last several years that he played a full year, his stats were awesome.
Ridiculous.
And he's like a career 295 batter or something.
Something
Like
like
he's
that.
he's
Yeah.
good. He's a good player. He's productive. He hits a decent amount of homers. He's not a slugger like he's going to go hit 50 home runs or anything. But
Right.
He can hit the ball out of the park. He'll drive in runs. He bats for average. That one felt pretty good. The Santos one, almost everybody, like even on Twitter, which is usually a super toxic place.
Yes.
I was like, all right, let's get the fan reaction to this. And I was looking at replies to the big tweets that were announcing the move, and it seemed like everybody thought it was good, which totally caught me off guard.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. Like, they might be building a team in like a very productive way. They might be building a competitive team in a very productive way.
Right.
But it's not the way I wanted them to do it.
Yep.
Because they had all these guys who were their prospects. They were supposed to develop them, and they were supposed to have big, splashy free agent guys to come in and round out the roster.
Absolutely.
And it didn't happen. And I'm not even going to blame DePoto for that,
No.
because it seems very clearly that he was told, here's the amount of money you have. It's less than you wanted.
Yep.
And he's had to work with what he has. But I just thought, like, it's going to be Ohtani, it's going to be Soto, it's going to be somebody's going to come in, they're going to pay him a huge amount of money, and he's going to be the big splashy move that will complement an already solid roster of prospects that we brought up.
Right.
And that's not the way they've done it, and that still kind of frustrates me. So they have to do... They're not going to do the Tampa Bay Rays thing or the Oakland Athletics thing where they only have guys who are under club control and then they trade them immediately when they're going to cost any money.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do the thing where they overpay 100 free agents like the Mets did and the Padres did.
And the Rangers did.
But they're going to do something that's kind of in the middle.
And the thing is does in the middle work?
Not usually.
Because we've seen
both of the other ends of the spectrum work.
They work, and we've seen them fail on both ends too.
Yeah,
so
true.
it's not like they always work.
Yeah.
But have we ever
Well, it
seen
worked for the Rangers.
Yeah, it worked for the Rangers, and it's worked for the Rays in the past.
Yeah.
But have we ever seen the middle road work?
Probably, but I can't think of any times.
Yeah, it's hard to think about. Francis said, downside to any Mariners signing is they're now Mariners. Just look what happened to Cano. Cano was great he was a pretty good player for the Mariners. I mean,
Francis
he wasn't
doesn't pay attention
he
to
wasn't
anything but Yankees, so he assumes that Cano just never played
Oh,
again.
I thought
Yeah.
you said Cannell.
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, who the heck is Cannell?
He also says all Mariners do is derail Hall of Fame careers. Griffey was lucky to get to the smaller dome to get his numbers up. Gosh,
You know what, dude? Like, just back up off me, okay? Earlier, I was talking with my son about Francis's son plays for Hoquiam,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And I said something about how his dad, like, oh, I've known who he was since grade school because his dad is my friend.
Yeah.
And then I paused, and I was like, his dad is my frenemy. Because he just pisses me off sometimes.
Yes.
So we do have a lot of really good stuff on today's show, including hopefully in about 5 minutes, we're going to have the Monte Boys basketball coach Leonard Barnes on with us.
Oh, right. I forgot that was happening at
Yeah.
3:30.
Yeah.
One more really quick thing. Polanco is 30, which seems old, but I don't know. It's interesting that he first came up when he was 20.
Yeah, he's been in the majors
So,
for a while, but he
he's-
hasn't played very many complete seasons.
Yeah, but he seems young for how many seasons he's been up for.
Yeah.
So he's got 10 at least seasons with time in the pros.
I know I looked at his
Yeah.
career, like I looked at his year-over-year stats, and I was like, the thing that stands out to me here is this guy misses a lot of games.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that was concerning to me. But he seems productive when he plays.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe the Mariners will catch lightning in a bottle, and he'll play 155 games and be great.
But yeah, I mean that's Polanco, Garver, Haniger,
Yeah.
like all three of those guys. So it's gonna be interesting. Shoot, I have so much more Mariners stuff I would like to talk about.
Well, go
but-
ahead. Why don't you start that?
Well, no, it's more just ramblings of a madman as my I did my typical scrawlings
Scrawlings of a madman. This one is a little more organized than your normally mad.
Yeah.
Normally mad
But
scrawling.
something I heard.
It's also such like this piece of paper that you
Yeah.
have is perfect for mad
Just
scrawlings
how
because
it's
it's not
just
a full
ripped.
piece of paper, but it's also obviously ripped out of a notebook,
Yeah, I ripped it like as I was leaving.
and it's crinkled and folded.
Yes, crinkled. And not folded well either. It's not like the folds make sense. Anyway, I like to
really
do my
don't.
projections on what the lineup's going to be.
Okay.
And when you first asked me where in the lineup does Polanco hit,
Yeah.
I was thinking like either 2 or 5 through 9 somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, you know. But I've heard both Dipoto and Hollander's their GM,
Okay.
talk about how they can now go left, right, switch. And they've said it multiple times in every interview. Like, and usually when something's repeated so much, I'm like, okay, that has to
Or
be
is
part of
that
their
what
plan.
they want you to think?
Yeah, maybe. But so I was like, okay, how do they go left, right, switch? And the lineup comes out to J.P. Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, Polanco hitting third.
Julio hits 2?
I can't think
That
of
seems
another way
weird
this
to me.
works. He either hits 2 or 6,
Could
or
you
2 or
switch
5.
Julio? Could you switch Julio and Crawford?
Well, then that would be right-left switch.
Weird.
But they said it multiple times. Left, right, switch.
Okay.
Left, right, switch. And they said it twice. So I'm like, okay, they're giving us a hint, right, for how they think the
Are they
top 6
starting
batters are going
left,
to be.
right switch in the 2 hole? I don't know. It's weird.
Well, Yeah.
Like Julio is the anti-two hitter to me. Am I reading that
That's
wrong?
where he hit most of last year.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is me not paying attention. But I
Yeah.
think am I going old school
Well,
when I think of the two hitter
Yes.
as the guy who bunts and moves guys along and sacrifice flies?
Yeah.
And he's the guy who does all the dirty work that you need. That's
Yeah.
old. This
That's-
is 2001 Mark McLemore.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Bad job
now-
by me. I apologize.
Now a lot of teams put their best hitter at 2
Okay.
because he's still not leading off, but he still gets more at bats over a course of a season than the 3 hitter.
Counterpoint. That's dumb.
Yeah, I understand that too. They did have Rodriguez leading off at the beginning of last year,
Okay.
and then JP just kind of took it and ran with it when
Interesting.
Julio had his slow start.
Okay, you
So-
finish the lineup, and while we do that, Andrew, will you
Yes.
email Coach
So-
Barnes the link, and I'll text him to say
I
your
will do
email.
that.
Okay.
So my thought is that they're thinking Crawford, Rodriguez, Polanco, and then you got to find another left-handed batter to hit 4. And I got to think they're thinking Luke Raley, the guy they got from Tampa.
Okay.
Because Garver, my initial thought would have been Garver, but he's right-handed. And so I guess they would go Raley, Garver, and then switch again would be Raleigh. So
I think they hustled you.
so either well, the weird thing is they kept saying it. Like I heard him in like 4 or 5 different interviews
Yeah.
say, "Oh, this gives, Scott the ability and the flexibility to go left right switch, left right switch."
Is it possible?
And they said it multiple times in each interview. And so I'm like, "How does the lineup look? Left right switch?" And that's the only way I could see it. And yet it doesn't make 100% sense to me.
Is it possible that left-right switch is the order, but it could start at anywhere? Like it could go switch left-right, switch left-right.
That's interesting. So maybe Polanco would
Switch
lead off, and then Crawford,
right, switch,
and then Rodriguez, and then Raleigh.
Maybe.
Could happen. I don't know.
Is there
'Cause-
any reason why you wouldn't have Crawford leading off still?
No, that's
only,
the thing.
Only
is so-
because the guy after him. Well, I don't know. It's not even real. I guess if I'm too old school on that, it's not the guy after him. It's the way the order breaks down after that. That's weird, right?
kind of, yeah. Crawford Rodriguez makes sense.
Yeah.
The weird part is
It makes sense in the new
I
school
don't feel
thinking.
yeah.
Counterpoint. That's dumb.
I don't feel like Polanco's who you would generally think of as a 3-hitter, except for that one year he was completely healthy and he hit
Yeah.
33 bombs,
Which
or
I
whatever.
believe was like 2019.
I think it was 2021.
Oh, 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a couple years.
But then after that, if you're thinking another lefty, that's where it really gets confusing because you're like, I guess that's Raley.
What's the big dumper?
He's a switch hitter.
Okay.
So then that's the other weird thing is you're moving in that situation. You're moving Big Dumper all the way down to the 6th hole,
Is he not like a prototypical cleanup guy?
right? That's what I was
His
thinking.
nickname's Big Dumper. Like
Exactly.
you don't have a big dumper on your team unless he's your cleanup hitter.
Exactly. Maybe a 5th hitter,
Yeah.
not 6.
No.
So
6 is stupid for Big Dumper.
anyway, I thought that was weird because I feel like nobody really.
And he's not a 3.
In all the interviews, nobody was like, "Oh, left right switch, left right switch. Let's talk about who that would be."
Yeah.
And yet both Dipoto and Hollander each went
Are you guys
mentioned it multiple
Oh yeah,
times.
if Coach Barnes is there, we'll
Yeah.
bring him in.
All right.
Sweet.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk to Montesano boys basketball coach Leonard Barnes. Montesano, we haven't talked about this yet, but they are coming off a huge win, a dominant win over Hoquiam on Friday.
Just rub it in, why don't you?
61-28, which not only gave them a win against a team that they had previously lost to, but also jumped them over the top of Elma and gives them the 2 seed out of the Evergreen 1A League going into the district tournament. Coach, can you hear us? I see Coach Barnes. Coach, can you hear us?
Guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
All right.
All
I don't
right.
hear you, so we'll get this thing going. Let's get the party started.
Awesome.
Right.
So thank you so much for making some time for us. I know you're a busy man, but I've been talking about your team for weeks on this show, but I figured we'd get the perspective of someone who actually knows what they're talking about. So I want to know basically what have you seen from this team that has now finished second in the league and swept the league on the second time through, 4-0 in the last league games and a 6-game winning streak. What have you seen from this team that's made them so successful?
Well, I mean, this it's taken a while, but I really do think over the last few weeks, the second half of the league play, we're just starting to come together. I think there's more upside. It's all really started with some of the rebounding and defense in the half courts, those type of things, but just also just the commitment and effort of the kids. They really want to have success. And, we were probably on a real steep learning curve. First half of the year, some of these kids, did not even know who I was come November 15th. I had a few of them in the summer, went to Gonzaga, but I think it takes time, right? You want to do things in steps, especially in basketball. It's such a quick, fast sport. You don't have a lot of time to think. And if you overload them, you're not going to have a lot of success. But with that said, I think they're making great steps, and I don't think we've played our best basketball yet. And I think the kids are really hungry to get out there and compete some more.
With this team, it seems like there's so much balance, not only with who can be the player of the game every week, but also just the different types of athletes that you have up and down the roster. It's such a deep roster, I feel like. Who are some of the kids that maybe surprised you from early in the season to how they've developed now?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, Peyton Domashevitz is our stopper. I mean, that kid is a workhorse. His practice jersey got to be washed every night because that dude's got 5-pound wet jersey.
Oh no, Coach, we haven't washed it all season. Just kidding.
Well, he keeps asking me for another one. He always brings the other one back, so I got his back like he's got mine. But in the last few games, since I call it the UPS adventure with I call him Pepe, with Pepe going to UPS, and when he came back that day at Aberdeen. That man, whatever they did to him at UPS, it lit a fire for that young man with offense. He's now not only getting the defense and the rebounding and all that glue stuff a good coach wants, behind the scenes, the deflections, steals, the extra pass, just good decision. He is a stopper, but now he's got some offense going around the basket. And so whatever happened that UPS trip at the Aberdeen game, when he was on a roll, I just started chanting at the bench, UPS, UPS, and oh my God, we had a great time with him. He's definitely one. I would definitely say, Tice Peterson came into the year, getting his feet underneath him. But I think over the last couple of weeks, Tice Peterson's really getting it rolling. How can you not talk about DeLon Chan, a young man I did not even know on November 1st, a guy that one of the kids came to me about 10 days before opening day of practice on November 15th, said, Coach, here's this transfer student guy. Have you met him? And I said, no. Well, we kind of played with him, and Coach, he's pretty good, like really good. And I'm like, well, you better make sure he comes out. And
he's
DeLon
pretty
Chan
good is an understatement.
Yeah. I'm having a real hard time hearing you guys, but so you just give me a high five. I talk too much. But DeLon Chan, he came from Hong Kong, and he never had played 5-on-5 basketball, guys. He's only played 3-on-3 basketball. Where he came from, they did not have gymnasiums. It was only played on outdoor courts, and the courts were small enough they only could do 3-on-3. Does that tell you how fast this kid's came on? We take it for granted because he's so smart and he's so athletic, but to all of a sudden transition to 5-on-5, I had to teach him about how to line up on the line for free throws, just all the little stuff that we would know as parents and playing coaches. He didn't know any of that stuff. He just had a God gift of quickness, like a cat. He's so quick. But he also is so smooth with his shot. And then, getting the trust of his teammates, like, who is this guy? And now they're tight. They're all pretty tight, and they all understand who each other is, and we're there for one. That's for us.
So
I would also say over the last couple of weeks, Cam Taylor has really started stepping it up. He had a lot of football. He had some recruiting stuff going, but he settled in real nice. Soren is been a presence inside with his length of his arms. So Jackson Wilson coming off the bench, he could come off the bench, but he gives us such great energy. And I've talked to him about that coming off the bench. That kid knows how to play one way. He is all in, like all the time. When we beat Tenino, I think about the play where Jackson Wilson dove at face first, full out slide, and he kicked that ball out further so they couldn't get that shot. Nice clean look. So I mean, definitely Jackson would be in that category too. Cam, Peyton, those kids have all just been great. I think we've actually surprised each other. The gel and the tightness, new coach, new voice, creating a new culture, non-negotiables, learning my voice and what I mean. I think all of that stuff just plays together, and I'm blessed. You said it. We have some athletes. I got Gabe Bodwell. I mean, my God, Gabe Bodwell. Talk about a surprise. He didn't play with us all summer, but he was up front in the spring. Said, "Coach, I'm a one-sport player. Trust me, I'll be out for basketball." And he's done it, guys. He's a rebounding machine, strong kid, quiet demeanor. He's brought it. So I think all of these kids have really brought it. We've got 8 seniors on this crew, and that maturity, that athleticism, that experience, and knowing that culture that's been created in other sports. It's working well.
So, Coach, I've coached a lot of these boys. Obviously, I know them very well. I've coached a lot of these boys at some point. There's one kid that kind of holds a special place in my heart, and it's not my own son, but I want to talk to you about Tice Peterson a little bit. I want to expand on that a little bit because I want to talk about the dynamic of Tice from last year being the main scorer, the main guy, often the only guy who could put the ball in the hoop for Monte. And this year, the rest of the team has developed around him, so he's shifted into a different role. Can you give us a little bit more about, like, not even from a basketball perspective, but from a personal perspective and a maturity perspective, what Tice Peterson does for you guys?
Tice is I call him the glue man. If you guys say glue to him, he knows what it means. He's our glue. He's our anchor. I let the kids vote for captain, and I picked one, right? And I have 2 awesome captains that really represent their guy. But Tice Peterson has been all in. He has been all in. And I'm talking about deflections, steals, assists, sometimes having to take the best player on the other team, depending on height and where they play, to also giving up some shots. There's some other kids. If you look at minutes per played on our team, per player, and you look at how many shots, points, their field goal percentage, all that stuff, he sacrificed a little bit. But I tell you what, guys, Tice Peterson's got it going, and he has put team first. But he's still in the front of the bus leading this team. Like I told him, I said, you got the keys to ignition, right? You've played a lot of basketball. You compete hard. He leaves it all out there every day in practice, in the bus, in the game. Love him, Tice Peterson, for what he's done for his team and being a great leader. And I love my kids. They all embody that.
I love stories like that, and Tice is definitely somebody who's been so impressive to both Justin and I when it comes to his leadership qualities that he has. Coming from this league to now districts, something that you have a lot of experience in moving teams to that next level, what are you doing to try and prepare this team for the district tournament now coming up this week?
Well, definitely that relies on the coaching staff. So, we are dialed in. We know who we're playing. We're playing Stevenson out of the South down there, our first game, and then we're taking it. So you got to have one game approach, one play approach, one stop approach, and you better be dialed in defensively, and you better be dialed in also on the rebounding side of it, because those things in playoff games, defense and rebounding, they're huge, they're key. And then just being ready for the things like what teams do to you, the gimmick stuff, people like to throw out their traps or their 1-3-1, all that different stuff. You got to be ready for it. But, some of that stuff is a process, and we've been preparing for it. And we'll have 2 days. We've got some good tape. We'll watch film. I always watch, big believer in film. After every game, the next practice, first 30 minutes, we're dialed into segments of the game we just played and learning moments. There's never an L, right, for a loss. There are lessons, I tell the kids. You get the W for the win, but the L is the lesson, and you got to have that attitude. It is a lesson, and there's things we can learn. Sometimes you match up with teams and it's just the way it is, but most games have lessons in them of what we could have did, what we should have did, and that is not only as players but as coaches. And we stop that, we study it, and that's how we approach it, and that's what we're doing right now. We'll be dialed up for that tomorrow when we get into the gym and practice. We'll have had a good film session, and we'll have another one on Tuesday also.
And Coach, I have one more player that I want to ask you about, and it's kind of hard because, number one, I love all these kids, and I appreciate the skill set that every one of them brings to the table. But there's one kid on your team that has not been a starter for most of the year, but I think he could start on a lot of other teams. And also his specific skill set is like when he comes off the bench with a great amount of energy, causes all kinds of problems for the other team. I want to talk about Jackson Wilson, and I want to talk about what he does for you. Now, he's come on offensively as well, but I want you to tell us about what a player with Jackson's skill set can do for you guys defensively.
Well, one thing Jackson brings, guys, he brings unequivocal effort, and he wants to compete. Ultimate competitor. He wants to compete. He wants to be in that floor. He'll give you everything. If you need someone to literally dive into the stands or on the floor, he'll say, Coach, put me in as a 4 in practice. I want to learn the 4. He knows every spot, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. He can play them all. And when we do a lot of different types of rebounding situations, and he's in there high pointing the ball with the biggest of the bigs that we have. He's fearless. I mean, he doesn't back down from anybody. I have learned. I have a great love for Jackson. For one, his leadership, his competitiveness, and his drive to have success. It's been impressive. And I told him, he makes me smile when I see guys give effort like that for their team. It just makes me just like, that is it. That's what it's about. Giving that effort for your bros, for your team, your school, your student section. That dude's bringing it. I mean, he is a warrior, and he's not afraid to take anybody on at any time, at any position.
It's kind of funny. These two kids are so different in so many ways, but the way he plays and what he brings to that for you reminds me a lot of another kid you coached however many years ago it was at Aberdeen, when Rodney Ham used to come off the bench for you. Is that kind of a similar spark plug situation?
3 people who are watching understood that reference.
But I love that. I love it.
Yes.
I think you're right on. Rodney had that ability to come in and kind of reset a game. He had that electrifying quickness. I mean, Jackson's shooting's getting better and better. We talk about good shot, bad shot, early shot, late shot, shot selection. But Jackson, I'm telling you, if you came to practice and watch this guy, you would think Cam Taylor was his wide receiver in our fast breaks. I mean, he can throw dimes out there, but definitely that's a good analogy with Rodney, because Rodney Rodney wasn't always the most prettiest guy, but oh my God, that guy, he was a winner. He wanted to win every time he got that ball, and he that makes me laugh. I love Rodney Ham and his athleticism and what he did for us. A great competitor, also not going to be afraid of anybody.
For sure.
Yeah, Rodney Ham played with reckless abandon and created chaos, which was awesome for those teams. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because Daniel, you and I loved watching Rodney Ham at that point. Coach, I have one more question for you, and we'll let you go on this one. I want to talk about the big man rotation, because you've had kind of a back and forth starting between Soren Cobb and Camden Taylor, and then you have Gabe Bodwell in there kind of playing the 4, but really he could handle any center in our league as well. So what does it do for you to have 3 different guys that you can feel so comfortable with pretty much matching up against any big in the league?
Yeah, I mean, Cam, Cam's such a big, physical, strong kid, has super strong hands. You've seen that in the Hoquiam game. You watched it. There was probably 3 or 4 times there were guys right with him trying to pull the ball. No dice. Cam Taylor just squeezed it tighter. You're not getting it from that big guy. And when he has, for such a big guy, we've seen it now in the last 3 weeks. I mean, he's really coming into his rhythm again about scoring efficiently at over 50% of his field goals in the last 3 weeks. And then you got a guy like Soren. Honestly, you could step Soren out to the 3-point line, the elbow areas. Very, very good shot maker, has beautiful shot, very long. 2 different kinds of players depending on who we're going up with and what we need, but basically they're splitting minutes, so you can figure those kids are both playing 16 to 18 minutes a game. And they're both getting, Cam's giving me 7-8 boards every night in that time, and Soren's giving us 6, 7, 8 boards in there at that time. They'll give me some blocks, but Cam Taylor's also an excellent passer out of that post area. I mean, like he has great peripheral vision and quickness, and Soren also having that ability to face up is great. And then you mix in Gabe Bodwell. You've seen it in Hoquiam, just as an example, where, like Hoquiam and other teams have kids that can jump, good vertical. Gabe can jump too, and Gabe's got great strength and hands. I mean, Gabe is kind of a quiet kid, but make no mistake, Gabe is a warrior competitor inside, and he will do anything for his team, and nothing's going to shake him up. He's a pretty confident kid, and I got 3 kids I can rotate in there. I mean, honestly, if Cam and Soren had foul trouble, Gabe could slide right in there. Nathan Dowler, who's starting to get a few more minutes now, is a tremendous offensive rebounder. He showed me that in the offseason. He's got great days ahead of him also. But I can play any of those kids in a mix. And we have you guys haven't seen it yet, but we have a jumbo lineup, which includes Gabe, Soren, and Cam on the floor defensively and offensively. We've got a couple wrinkles for those guys, and when at the right time, we'll pull that out.
That's a lot of height on the floor at the same time.
Really quick, what's the dog's name in the back seat there, Coach?
That's Abby. That's my 15-year-old golden retriever. Guys, I'm in Seaside, so when you text me yesterday, I have not got to see very many of my son, Brandon, who's kind of a coach in the background for us. He does a lot of scouting, gives us a lot of info. But my son, Maddox, is in 5th grade, and they live in Olympia, and he plays on the Olympia team. They're in Seaside at the season-ending tournament, and this was a weekend. I came down yesterday afternoon. They played at 4, got down there, watched them. They won both their games, and now they're going to play here at 4:05, 4:10, or run a little bit behind. And I get to watch them play 2 games tonight, hopefully for a championship also. But I really want to give a shout out, guys. I have a great coaching staff. Mark Buckman, same age as my son Brandon, coached for me at Aberdeen, as Brandon did, as Dominic did. Those 3 guys have been incredible. I have Shaden Farmer. I know his dad, Doug, really well. Excellent basketball guy. Shaden was an excellent athlete at Monte. Another kid named by Tyler Stott, who's the head of Young Life in Grays Harbor on my C squad, helps us on varsity. And then my son-in-law, my next-door neighbor, Ryan Parson, the manager of Dennis Company in East County. That crew of coaches, I have to take them out for a cold water when the season's over because those dudes have been rocks. But more importantly, the positivity that those guys bring, but the competitives that they bring, but they always find great things to say to those kids during and after practice, and want to give them a big shout out. I love them. I love our team, guys. They have put a lot of work in, and we'll just see where this is going to take us. It's not going to be an easy road. You guys know this. I mean, you can't look by anybody. We got 1 game. It's Stevenson, and we'll be ready to play that game, I guarantee you. Now, hopefully all the stars will line up for us, and we'll get another opportunity. But this time of the year, you better be dialed in 1 game at a time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach. That's Montesano coach Leonard Barnes joining us. And we'll go ahead and let you go, Coach. Thank you so much for making the time for us.
Yep, anytime. You guys are awesome. You guys are making it happen. We love you guys. You guys take care, and thank you for everything you do. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Leonard.
So that now that we've let Monte coach Leonard Barnes go, I'll just say,
How do you not get excited talking to him?
first of all,
Oh my gosh.
and my obviously, in case you haven't picked up on this, my son plays on that team.
What?
And I have another son coming up through that program who's a freshman, played on C Squad. And the feeling that I got when I found out Leonard Barnes was going to take over our coaching staff, I was over the moon. And then when I found out the staff that he built, and he mentioned both of his sons, Brandon Barnes and Dominic Barnes, on that coaching staff, Shaden Farmer as JV coach, Tyler Stott, another guy I love, as the C Squad coach, and then Ryan Parsons as kind of a I'll do anything you need me to, like I'll fill in any spot. He coached C Squad a couple times when Tyler wasn't there, but he's everywhere.
He's a great
and
guy.
the only downside for Ryan is he's a Duke fan. Besides that, he's a great guy.
I did not know that about Ryan.
It's the only downside.
He seems like way too good of a guy to be a Duke fan.
But I want to share two quick stories
Okay.
about Leonard Barnes, which is the reason why I say, unlike any coach I've ever had in high school or seen in high school, that I love that man. Like, it goes beyond basketball.
Yeah.
Number one, when I was a lowly correspondent at the Daily World when Leonard was coaching at Aberdeen. So many years. Was that 10 years ago? Somewhere in that range?
Rob probably knows.
So Leonard was coaching at Aberdeen. I got the assignment to go cover an Aberdeen
Was
game.
it that long ago?
I'd never met him in my life. And after the game was over, I went to get my post-game interview with Coach Barnes, and I interviewed him. I went to shake his hand. He pulled me in for a hug. He said, "Hey, here's my phone number. You call me if you need anything, day or night. I don't care what time it is. If you need something, you call me."
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this guy is not like any coach I've ever met.
Yeah.
And the other story I want to share, and I've shared that one on air before,
Yeah.
on our show before. The other one is when Monte was playing Elma just this past time. So like a week and a half ago.
In Elma, right?
In Elma.
Yeah.
And that was a packed house. They were honoring a team from 60 years ago, which won the state title, which I thought was 80 years ago, and I did bad Monte math.
Terrible math.
But beside the point, that place was packed. It was playoff intensity.
Mm-hmm.
You could see it on everyone's face. Intensity, it was, the levels were high.
Yeah.
Pre-game, the guy who runs PA stood up to sing the national anthem for Elma, and I apologize for not knowing his name. He did an amazing job.
So, yeah.
He sang the
So
national anthem flawlessly, exactly how it was supposed to be sung. Leonard stopped everything, walked away from his team,
And usually
said,
that's
"Excuse
like...
me," stepped past people to get up in the stands, to shake that man's hand and say, "Thank you so much. That was amazing." And in that moment, and I was sitting right there, and I'm like, I get a little choked up when I think about it, because it's like, that's a representation of Leonard Barnes to me. It's who he is.
Yep.
And it's the exact reason why he's the kind of person who I want teaching and leading and coaching my kids.
Yeah.
And he is the example of what I think these people in our community, and we have so many high school coaches, youth coaches, great people. I've met so many great people in covering local sports.
Yep.
And to me, he's like the epitome of what these leaders are.
Yeah. He really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the impact that man has had on my life, just as a reporter, but before as a basketball player.
Yeah.
I mean, he saw one of my games, maybe. I know he saw at least one. And yet the amount of encouragement that he gave me after that one game was immense, that I remembered it, and then learning how to coach afterwards. Somebody said in the comments, Elma Eagles Athletics says the announcer is Dan Sandstrom.
Shout out Dan Sandstrom, because in case it didn't come over NFHS to anyone who was there, that guy was phenomenal on the national anthem, and then did a great job on PA throughout the course of the game.
He's great. He's great. I've had the chance to sit next to him a couple times doing games out there. He's awesome. Super nice guy as well. Very helpful for me as the radio announcer. But yeah, Leonard's he's one of a kind, man. He is one of a kind.
Yeah.
I think the stories that you just said embody exactly who he is. Add in the fact that his hugs can hurt.
Yeah.
And
Painful.
your sons have conveyed that to you. That man,
I think he hugs Peyton the hardest.
It's just. I think he does too.
Because he's like, this kid's strong. I need to hurt him.
Exactly. All joking aside, because the other joke is that I've played basketball against him at the Y before.
Oh, elbows, man.
And
everywhere.
The shot will go up, and all of a sudden I'll be standing outside of the key when I was just inside of the key. My chest will hurt, and I'll have no idea how, and he'll be getting a rebound and going up for a bucket.
And not getting called for a foul.
Well, because
somehow
I didn't know what happened. How could I call him for a foul?
Yeah, good point.
But he's the salt of the earth, man. That guy is the best, absolute best. Love him so much. And as you mentioned, he's the type of person that you want coaching your kids.
Yeah.
As much, and this is no shot to any other coach everywhere, but
we love you all.
Leonard's the best, man. He's the best. And I say that in my head as we were driving up here. I was doing some weird math because I'm a weird parent. I'm a sports parent, even though my kid's not in sports yet. But I was like, man.
I mean, your kid's getting buckets.
Yeah.
You were doing math when you didn't have to?
I was like, in my head, I was like, do you think Nimi will still be coaching in 14 years?
I hope so.
I hope so too. I would love for my son to play basketball for him.
Yeah.
And yet right now, Leonard Barnes is a number one.
If your son ends up being the kind of player that you were, he would thrive in a Jeff Nemi team.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was awesome.
Can we take a break? Because I need a break for normal reasons.
Yes, we can take a break. A couple of different comments. Francis, I did not get a chance to ask Coach why golden retrievers are so much better than any kind of boutique doodle dogs, but I did bring up the dog. That was the main reason for that. I saw Francis's comment. We all saw the dog in the background. We all knew that needed to be mentioned. What did he say, Andrew? His 14-year-old golden retriever, Abby?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
very cool.
That just awesome. Yes, Rob, we agree with you as well. I'm not going to read that comment, but 100% yes. And everybody.
He was having trouble hearing us. I'm reasonably certain that wasn't on our side. There's nothing that I could do to make us louder. Well, I was trying to do a little bit of things, but
he heard us well enough to answer all the questions, so it worked out. Also, good luck to, I think, his grandson Maddox, who I believe is playing down there in Seaside. But yes, we are going to take a break and be back for the local sports roundup. We also have an athlete of the week to name, as well as all of our other normal trappings of the scrimmage after this.
Do you have a legal situation and need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz be your advocate. If you've been the victim of medical malpractice, suffered a personal injury, or need representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning, let Jeff Domashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Domashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit domashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
Really glad that wasn't the commercial that I had to be prepared for.
I took it easy on you.
I appreciate that. Was it supposed to be? I can't even remember.
No.
Okay. That would have been funny.
Andrew's just
cross my mind to
pretending
mess
that
with
he's
you.
nicer than he is.
Yep, for sure. Oh, so you got Stevenson coming up. I don't know what it is. Every district tournament, there's at least one Montesano versus Stevenson matchup in the first round.
Maroon Bulldogs on Maroon Bulldogs.
Yes, it's maroon and baby blue. Yeah. You've mentioned
It's a
multiple
great
times
color
that if
scheme.
you guys ever move, it's going to be to Stevenson.
I don't think I've ever been to Stevenson.
Neither have I. It's probably horrible.
Yeah.
But the colors are actually kind of cool.
I've been to White Salmon, and it's right by there, right?
I think it's near White Salmon.
Yeah.
I have a special place in my heart for Stevenson because that was the only playoff. No, I played in a couple. That was the first playoff basketball game I played in was against Stevenson.
Did you win?
At Bo Griffith Memorial Gymnasium.
Oh,
yeah.
very nice.
And they had both sides opened up. Or, I mean, not both sides because they only have one level on one side, right?
Yeah.
In Monte. But they had the upper section opened up.
Oh, like where the wrestling?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they had those stands.
It's been a really long time since I've seen that opened up.
Yeah, it's so cool. So the stands were packed, and I'll never forget it. So I can't remember which side our bands were on.
He'll never forget, though.
Well, hey, what I'm about to say. So Stevenson's band was where Montesano's band usually is, right?
Yeah.
But then our band came as well. And so in the warm-ups, there was no music over the sound system. It was just
awesome.
band.
Band battle.
And
I love band battles.
Dude, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And both the bands were like every song or some of the songs have like singing parts in them, like Louie Louie or something like that. If one band was playing a song that had singing parts, the other band was singing it for them, and back and forth. It was the coolest thing. I remember being so distracted in warm-ups. Thankfully, I was a junior who didn't play much because I was completely distracted. Unthankfully, I actually played in the first half of that game because our point guard got in foul trouble, and my coach thought, hey, there's a kid who's played about 2 minutes all year. Why don't you be our first sub off the
And
bench?
then you chucked the ball out of bounds over someone's head.
Almost.
Okay.
Thankfully, that someone was our foreign exchange student Icelandic Olympic team player who jumped about 20 feet in the air, caught it, took 2 dribbles, and laid it up. And I was like, is it 1 or 2 dribbles for an assist?
It's relative.
Right?
It's a relative.
Right?
I
was
would have
like-
given it to you.
Yeah. I threw the pass, and I put my head in my hands because I was like, I just threw that into the stands. And then I looked up just in time to see him catch it, tightrope the sideline, cross the guy, and lay it up. And I was like, that's an assist, right? Like, we're good? We good? Yeah.
Well, something good had to come out of Iceland. The bad guys from Mighty Ducks 2.
Right. Seriously. That movie came on at the hotel at State that year.
Yeah.
And we were like, Emmy, what are they saying? And he's like, it's so dumb. All they say is, who's the best? Iceland. He's like, that is literally like what they say the whole movie. And we're like, that's it? And he's like, yep.
He was messing with you. There was like 75 curse words in what they said.
Probably.
Well, let's the order of the show is different and weird today, but we still have to get to my favorite part of the show.
I forgot.
Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel.
Stump Daniel is brought to you by the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz, no relation.
What's the A stand for?
And Daniel, since
Pepe?
I think very likely Lamar Jackson is about to be named NFL MVP this upcoming week by the Associated Press.
Is it choking to win the MVP and not get to the Super Bowl? I feel like everybody's saying he choked.
So, actually, this is kind of the direction
Okay.
that I'm headed with that.
I don't like
Gotcha.
that.
It feels, he made it to the championship game.
And
I don't
your
know.
team has to play well too.
Okay, but let's get to that in a minute.
Okay, gotcha.
So here's what I want to do, because I kind of know where Andrew's coming from on this, and I agree with him a lot. But Lamar Jackson is about to be named MVP very likely.
Sorry, I just read Daniel's comment.
What did he say?
He said, quote, never forget, can't remember. I'm Daniel Hargrove. Shut up.
That should be your new tagline.
Yeah. Never forget, can't remember. I'm Daniel Hargrove.
Hey, Andrew, clip that. We can use it.
I'm going to say it at the end of my first playoff game. I'll be hopefully in Montesano on Wednesday night, and at the end of it, I'll be like, never forget, can't remember. I'm Daniel Hargrove.
KXRO. Or KWOK. I'm Daniel Hargrove. 1490 KWOK.
Yes. Quack.
So, Daniel, as Lamar Jackson is very likely about to win his second MVP award, while
Wow, his second.
never having been to a Super Bowl,
Right.
and also having some really low-performing games in the playoffs,
Right.
which prevent his teams from getting to the Super Bowl, while also, as I hear Andrew already stirring in the corner, waiting to rebut me, he also has had teams, like the first time around, and I get it, I think he was a second-year player at that time,
Yeah.
they had like 11 Pro Bowlers. Like,
Yeah.
he's had teams around him that, if you trust what the media says, which is, hey, all these Pro Bowlers, all these all-pro guys,
Yeah.
you should be able to get to the big game. He's about to win his second MVP, and he didn't. And he played poorly, and the defense was good enough and held Patrick Mahomes to 17 points, but Lamar Jackson's offense could only manage 10.
Yep.
What I wanted to do
He
was
played poorly.
look
Indiana
back
Jones.
at recent NFL MVPs and figure out how many guys are there
Yeah.
who are in a similar boat
Right.
to Lamar Jackson.
Who's joining him on the arc?
So, Daniel, starting last year, 2022,
Okay.
I would like you to name NFL MVPs in reverse order.
Oh, this is the worst.
So, who won the NFL MVP last year?
What?
and you get 1 strike, and then you're out.
What? Wait, 1 strike. So as soon as I fail to name the MVP from last year,
Boom, you lose.
I'm just done.
Done.
I don't get 2 strikes.
Nope.
I don't get to guess 2021 if I
it's a
miss last
strike,
year.
don't
Okay.
you automatically get 3? Isn't that the point?
Okay, you get 3 strikes.
Thank you, Andrew.
3 strikes and you're out. Who was last year's NFL MVP?
Last year's NFL MVP was Patrick Mahomes.
That is correct, and also a good and most obvious guess. Congratulations.
Let's go. Huddle up.
I almost
I
guessed.
am very
Both
sorry.
of those were wrong.
There it
There
is.
we go. I'm just poking everything over here.
That's what she said. Patrick Mahomes, 2022. Daniel, 2021. Who was the NFL MVP?
Oh man, there's a time where I would have been really good at this.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
That is correct.
Aaron.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron was the MVP.
Aaron Peyote Rodgers.
The immunized Aaron Rodgers.
Ayahuasca. There it is.
Ayahuasca.
Aaron Ayahuasca.
Haunted by
Rodgers.
Hatman. Daniel, who
Oh,
was the 2020 NFL MVP?
Just gave me shivers. Shiver me timbers. 2020. Whoa. Thomas Brady?
Ooh, I'm sorry, that is incorrect. The correct answer is Aaron Rodgers.
Oh. Dang.
2
Ayahuasca,
MVPs in
man.
a row, thanks to Ayahuasca and Hatman.
Creepy hat.
Shadow people.
Ugh.
Demons, if you're keeping track at home. Daniel, who was the 2019 NFL MVP? You have 1 strike with 2 correct.
2019. Yes, 2019. Why are we whispering? Because I need to fill time. Okay.
You know, if you pick an MVP as the best player on the best team, which is what they seem to do a lot of, which we don't like.
Yeah, but I see where you're going with this.
That would make it a better argument that player should get to the Super Bowl.
Right. That's a good call. Good call. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson.
Daniel, that's incorrect. It's actually Lamar Jackson.
Oh!
You said Jackie Sohn, so 2 strikes.
Dang it.
2018. Daniel, who was the NFL MVP in 2018? So we went going backwards. You got likely this year's Lamar Jackie Sohn.
Yep.
Then Patty Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackie Sohn. Who was before that? I don't know what it is that prevents you from saying words like the way they're intended to be said.
But it happens a lot.
A lot. Saving.
See. I'm gonna go with Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is correct. Technically, I'm looking at it saying...
I'm way better at this game than I thought I would be.
You're pretty good at it, yeah.
You know why?
Kind of
Turns out the same 3 people just get the MVP all the time.
Okay, 2017, smart guy. Who is the MVP in 2017? So going backwards, and technically, if I don't count mispronouncing names on you, you only have 1 strike.
Gotcha.
Right? Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. Who was before that?
Thomas Brady.
Oh my God, you are good at this game.
Let's go.
Tom Brady. Still 1 strike, and we're going on to 2016. Who's 2016?
2016. It's between one of 2 people.
Okay.
It's either Captain America or Captain Ayahuasca.
Okay.
Because I feel like, again, we're just into a different realm of the same
Which
3
one's
people.
Captain America?
Tom Brady.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Is that what he is? Did he ever have a nickname? Tom Terrific?
Tom Terrific. The GOAT.
The GOAT. I'm going to go with... Oh, because Aaron Rodgers could have been injured. I'm going to go with Aaron Aaron Rodgers.
You're way off.
Darn it.
It's Matt Ryan.
What?
2016
What the heck is he?
MVP is Matt Ryan. That's 2 strikes.
What is he doing in there?
Daniel.
Matty Ice. Was that the year that they choked in the Super Bowl?
Yeah. 28-3.
Oh, I'm noticing a trend here with what I think you're going to bring up.
2015.
2015. Oh! Cameron Neutron.
That's correct. Kind of random that you remembered that, right? But I'm a little impressed. Did not think you were going to get this far. 2014, 2 strikes. You got 1 left.
2014 was when the Seahawks made it to the Super Bowl and lost to Les Patriots. Tom Brady.
I'm sorry.
No. Oh, is it Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers?
Well, you already heard me telling you it's
Did
not
you say
Tom
no?
Brady.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll say Tom Brady then.
It's
Sorry.
not Tom Brady.
Was it Aaron Rodgers?
It is Aaron Rodgers. Strike 3.
And the year before that, Peyton Manning?
Yes. And the year before that?
The year before that, Tom Brady?
Fail. Adrian Peterson.
Rando running back.
So
But
anyway,
that was the year where he had like almost
I think 2,000 yards that year, right?
Yeah, 2,000 plus.
So that will conclude this edition of Stump Daniel. And
Wow.
I guess the point that I'm kind of driving at here
Is it's always the same few players who the NFL selects to go to the Super Bowl.
And
They
kinda-
hate Lamar Jackson.
I was going to
Is
go
it 'cause
the
he's
other way
black? What?
and say, like, Lamar Jackson's not that good. Like, how can a guy be the MVP twice, but yet he's the reason why his team doesn't make the Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, what about that 2014, for example? You said that was Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
How many Super Bowls? does
Aaron Rodgers scored
have?
what? 16 points in that NFC Championship game
Is
against
that
the
the one
Seahawks?
that he gave up on in? Oh no, it wasn't the
No.
one against the Seahawks. That was a few years.
Remember that the one where he lost with Jermaine Kearse winning the walk-off.
That's hard.
The Seahawks threw 4 interceptions in that game,
I'm gonna
and
make-
Aaron Rodgers couldn't put up enough points to beat that
Did
game.
you say Rodgers?
Rodgers.
Aaron.
I'm going to make 2 points, and I don't have great conviction over either of them.
Okay, I like it.
Number 1,
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers did win a Super Bowl.
A Super Bowl.
And number 2,
Yeah.
for many of these times that he was there,
Yeah.
he did not have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Pro Bowlers like Lamar Jackson has had on his team. The number 1 defense like the Ravens had this year during the regular season. And I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But often you wouldn't look at Aaron Rodgers, often, not always, because I did blame him that one year.
Yeah.
But often you wouldn't look at him and be like, you're the reason why your team lost that game.
You're the problem.
Where in this past game, and I feel like I already feel Andrew arguing with me on this, it felt like he's the reason why they lost that game. He turned the ball over twice.
Okay.
I get there was a big-time drop pass, but the offense scored 10 points. And his defense held Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs to 17, and they lost.
I mean, I'm going to give 2 arguments. One for
Do
your
you feel
side.
great conviction over them? 'Cause-
Neither.
Okay.
Neither. One argument.
We should keep arguing things we don't care about.
The first argument is pro your thought.
Okay.
Even Russell Wilson, who threw 4 interceptions in a game, still ended up coming back to win that game.
Yes.
But he didn't get MVP.
Of course not.
Well, that was an NFC Championship game.
I know, but
No, I'm saying
he's
he-
talking about the season.
Oh.
Because Russell Wilson, I'm not sure if you noticed that, Justin, but all of those years, Russell Wilson wasn't in that conversation.
So ridiculous.
Yeah.
Only Mahomes!
Only Mahomes.
Al Michaels, you tool.
Yeah, only Mahomes could have done this, Fran Tarkenton in the 60s.
And also, we watched Russell Wilson do it the week before.
Yes.
Anyway, continue your point.
On the other side of
I
the
like
argument,
your
though, yeah. On the other side of the argument, though, I watched part of that game, and not once did I go, "Oh, Lamar Jackson's sucking here." But I will say I didn't watch much of it. But the drive and a half that I watched of Lamar Jackson, it reminded me of Russell Wilson saying "hike," getting the ball and going "ah!" and then getting sacked. That's what it felt like. So I have a hard time blaming the guy who's catching the ball and then being trusted to deal with literally no pass protection.
Okay.
So I don't know. What do you think about that?
I blame him. Andrew, your thoughts?
Counterpoint. Pass protection is for losers.
Losers.
Counterpoint. That's dumb.
Counterpoint.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you there. I didn't watch much of that game at all, though. I'm not sure if I watched any.
Yeah. Anyway.
I also didn't watch very much of it. So we're all just speaking on something that we didn't really pay that much attention to.
Basically pulling arguments out of our butt, which we don't have much conviction to.
I listened to a lot of national talking heads, though.
And they all said it's Lamar's fault.
Smashed all their opinions into one amorphous blob of opinion and spouted it off as my own.
Josh Allen, same problem?
Loser.
Except for he doesn't get MVP votes.
Turns the ball over like a maniac. Loser. Sean McDermott should be fired.
Whoa.
They got rid of Ken Dorsey because the offense was the problem? Not the problem. Get rid of McDermott. Don't tell Paul Gallant that, though. He loves McDermott.
Oh, I haven't heard Paul Gallant's name in a while. Ever since he went fully back to the Astros.
I listen to his show every once in a while.
Every now and then I was like trying to tune into what Paul's saying because I kind of liked him, but he went full Astros moron there for a while, and I was like, dude, I can't handle it.
Did you see that?
Like, literally just went full Astros.
Did you
you
see
never go full Astros.
You never go full Astros. Did you see, though, when he wore the half Astros, half Mariners jersey to a game?
No.
Yeah, he did.
Didn't he do that up here in Seattle?
Yeah,
Did
I think so.
Yelled at?
He was hanging out with the media people that he
Still
had a
liked.
relationship with.
Anyway, nobody that's listening to us cares about Paul Gallant, so we should move on.
Hey, Daniel, did you know that Seahawks quarterback Sean Mannion just retired? This happened yesterday.
Wow.
To this,
Seahawks quarterback Sean
SI.
Mannion?
That's the Sports Illustrated headline here.
That is the team that he most recently was signed with, I think. I did not know about that.
What level of roster was he on?
He was practice squad quarterback.
Okay.
The Seattle Seahawks practice squad quarterback is hanging up the cleats and moving on to the next phase of his football career.
Which is?
According to Brady Henderson, who broke the news, the journeyman quarterback will join the Green Bay Packers coaching staff. His title isn't known yet, but he'll work with quarterbacks.
I really wish that headline ended with he was joining the Seahawks coaching staff.
The Beavers coaching staff.
Oh, I just had a revelation.
Why would he jump onto that sinking ship? Sorry. Shouldn't have said that.
He's our next dude. He's the next guy I want to be the Beavers head coach. Like, I know we already have a coach right now, but if he works his way around the NFL and then's like, you know what, I want to go coach the alma mater and then not move to Michigan, I'd be all about that. Sean Mannion's the type of guy who I would be really excited to coach a team that I really liked. That's the type of player he's always been, and I'm excited that he's going to move on to coaching because for some reason NFL teams stopped giving him chances to throw the football, which was weird. But anyway.
He did complete his career with a 60.9% completion rating.
Not great.
For 571 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions in 14 games.
That's a lot of games for only 1 touchdown.
I love Sean Mannion. I wish he would have gotten a real shot, and I feel really bad for calling the Beavers a sinking ship. Yeah. I'm sorry. Can we go to the local sports roundup?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do it. Montesano's basketball team extended its win streak to 6 games this week with a pair of wins, including a win, that's a lot of wins, at Hoquiam on Friday, which gave the Bulldogs the 2 seed in the upcoming district tournament. Monte beat North Beach on Tuesday 63-25. Tice Peterson led the Bulldogs with 12 points. 12 points! Tice Peterson led the Bulldogs with 12 points, or as I typed it in here, Peterson led the Bulldogs with 12 points, while Gabe Bodwell and Camden Taylor chipped in 11 apiece. Carter Kreitz hit 3 3-pointers, I taught him that, on his senior night, while also recording 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. I loved seeing Carter and how well he played in extended minutes on senior night. Montesano capped its week with a dominant 61-28 win at Hoquiam on Friday. Peterson, Athlete of the Week, led all scorers with 23 points. DeLon Chan added 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists for the Bulldogs, while Peyton Domashevitz chipped in 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Xander Jump led Hoquiam with 15 points and 13 rebounds. That's a double-double if you're keeping track at home. As the league's 2 seed, Montesano will host the Trico 3 seed Stevenson on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Hoquiam will be the 4 seed and will travel to Seton Catholic.
Real quick, Lincoln's point total wasn't in there.
For the
I know, I'm curious.
7 points.
7 points.
Yeah.
Regardless of the teams, a defensive stopper scoring more than the person they're covering is the highest accomplishment that you can have.
When Peyton Domashevitz, no relation, left the game in the third quarter, Lincoln Nemi had 4 points and Peyton had 10.
That makes a defensive player smile.
It's also a freshman versus a senior, so just a little perspective there.
Bask in the glory.
Seems like the best time to attack.
Yeah. Good point. Good points made by all. Earlier in the week, Hoquiam topped Eatonville 80-63.
Again with the words and not pronouncing them the way they are.
Xander Jump dropped 30 points. Whoa! Attaboy, Xander.
Yeah.
For the Grizzlies while grabbing 13 boards. Wow.
Speaking of athlete
of the week.
But they lost the game that mattered.
Wait, they didn't lose this game. Oh, you said they lost the game that mattered.
Yeah.
But they won this game.
Yeah.
Okay. Chancellor Bounty scored 17 points. Attaboy, Chance.
Yeah.
And Chris Bryson added 10 points, 16 rebound, double-dub. I didn't say that. Double-double. Sorry.
Elma's boys basketball team lost on Wednesday 55-43 at Tenino. Carter Studer led the Eagles with 14 points and 6 rebounds. Elma rebounded with a 70-52 win over Eatonville at home on Friday. Kaysen Seberg celebrated his senior night by scoring 28 points for the Eagles on an efficient 12 for 19 shooting.
Dang.
That's really impressive in a high school game.
Yep.
AJ Holmes added 13 points and 6 rebounds, while Studer snagged a team-high 7 boards. Elma will be the Evergreen League's 3rd seed in the district tournament and will play a road game on Wednesday.
That's good shooting percentage for any level of basketball.
Agreed.
Raymond's boys basketball team won 75-45 at South Bend on Monday. Austin Snodgrass and Talon Yearout led the Seagulls with 15 points apiece, while Chris Quintana chipped in 14 and Chris Banker added 12. Yearout also pulled down 10 rebounds in the game to record a double-double.
A double-dub?
Double-dub.
Willapa Valley picked up a boys basketball win on Monday, 77-38 at Firm Foundation.
That's my thing.
Nathan Fluke scored 26 points and grabbed 10 rebounds for the Vikings. Blaine King added 19 points, while Hank Swartz had a double-double with 13 points and 10 steals. A lot of double-dubs out there this week.
He used the Swartz.
Oh, God. Valley was back in action at home on Tuesday and beat Washington School for the Deaf 64-26. King led all scorers with 25 points. Brody Ritzman added 4 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals.
Wow.
Stat sheet stuffer.
King might be up there for Athlete of the Week. Acosta beat North Beach on Wednesday 51-49 in an overtime district play-in game. Jesus Agramon led the Wildcats with 14 points, while Taryn Lewis added 8 points and a team-high 11 boards. Tyrell Hovland led the Hyaks with 15 points.
I had a chance to see Tyrell Hovland this week up close. He is very tall.
Yeah.
And a really good player inside.
Nice.
Aberdeen's boys basketball team ended on Thursday, or Aberdeen's boys basketball season ended on Thursday with a 73-57 loss at WF West. The Bobcats led 26-22 after one quarter, but managed just 31 points the rest of the game. Baylor Buckets Ainsworth capped his senior season with another impressive offensive performance, scoring 27 points for Aberdeen. Jacob Cusada added 12 points for the Bobcats, who finished their league season with a 5-7 record, just one spot out of the playoffs in a really tough 2A Evergreen League.
Really, really tough. They were a quality team this year.
Yeah.
A bummer that they missed the playoffs by one. Been there. That sucks. Montesano's girls basketball team fell to Adna on Monday, 66-50. There's a recognizable name on that Adna squad. Jilly Dalen had 19 points and 9 boards, while Teander Olsen, is it Teander or Tyander?
Teander.
Okay, Teander Olsen recorded 13 points, 7 boards, and 6 assists. The Bulldogs bounced back with a 57-13 win over Hoquiam on Thursday to complete the undefeated 1A Evergreen League season. Lex Stanfield led Monte with 17 points. I bet there's some steals. Only 3?
Yeah, she averages almost 6 on the season.
Dalen added 16 points, 11 rebounds, and also 3 steals. She took some of Stanfield's.
That's what it was, yeah.
While Olsen chipped in 15 points, 7 assists, and 3 steals.
Also stealing steals from Lex,
Yeah. Monte will be the league's top seed in the upcoming district tournament and will host the Trico League number 4 on Thursday. Probably going to be Stevenson because it usually is. Hoquiam is the 4 seed and will play on the road on Thursday against the Trico champ.
Elma's girls basketball team beat Tenino on Tuesday 58-25. Mia Monroe led the way for the Eagles with 17 points, and Eliza Sibbett added 10 points. Elma lost to Eatonville 54-44 on Friday. Olivia Moore led the Eagles with 13 points, and Aaliyah Weld added 12. Elma will be the Evergreen League's 3rd seed and will play a road game against the Trico number 2 on Thursday.
Aberdeen's girls basketball team earned a Myrtle Street rivalry win at home on Monday, 55-25 over Hoquiam. Annie Tro did Annie Tro things and led the Bobcats with 19 points and 3 steals, while Zoe Tro did Zoe Tro things and led the team with 11 boards and 8 steals.
That's a lot.
That's a bunch. Jalen Pimasone and Sophia Knutson added 8 points apiece for Aberdeen. Sydney Gordon recorded 10 points and 10 boards for the Grizzlies.
Double dub.
Aberdeen locked up a playoff spot on Wednesday with a 47-39 win at Shelton. And in that tense game, complete with multiple technicals, bench warnings, and an ejection for punching. More on that later. Zoe Tro scored a team-high 15... Oh, wait, Zoe?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
You didn't just mix up the names?
Nope,
this
that
time?
one's
Okay.
right.
Zoe scored
I did that before, but not this time.
Zoe scored a team-high 15 points, secured 9 boards, and swiped 7 steals.
That's a lot.
Nice. While Annie Tro recorded a near triple-double with 9 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 steals.
That's a lot.
What's going on?
That's a double-double.
Jalen Pimison added 10 points for the Bobcats. Aberdeen will be the 2A Evergreen League's 4 seed and will face Greater St. Helens League's 5 seed in a district pigtail game on Thursday.
Almost a triple dub
Wow, with steals involved.
for Annie Tro.
The Tros,
That's
man.
crazy.
Tros
Led
are
by
good.
another impressive
They're
performance.
Tro good.
Oh, God. Woo. That was Tro bad. Led by another impressive performance from Anna Davis, Acosta picked up a road win over Willapa Valley on Monday, 52-47. Davis recorded yet another double-double with 17 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 steals. Bristol Toll, who is real, added 17 points, 3 assists, and 3 steals for the Wildcats. Lauren Matlock led the Vikings with 16 points in the losing effort. Acosta won again on Thursday, 41-35 at Northwest Christian. Davis, once again, led with 17 points and 15 boards, another double-dub. Alexia Bradley added 11 points and 13 rebounds for the Wildcats. Theme of this local sports roundup, double dubs.
The Aberdeen boys.
It was lamer that we said it together.
I know.
Yeah.
I thought it would be better, and it wasn't. It was way worse. The Aberdeen's it was Tro worse. The Aberdeen boys diving postseason started on Saturday.
You need to throw that one away. Aberdeen boys diving postseason started on Saturday in Auburn.
Sophomore Zeke Olson won the District 4 2A title. I think Rob was trying to mess us up with the Roman numerals there. Almost got me. I almost said the District IV 2A title. With an 11 dive total of 203.1 points. He was competing with the District 3 3A divers at Auburn High School. Head coach Rob Burns said Zeke had a great day today, earning a district title and a state meet berth while competing against some really damn good 3A divers from District 3 on Friday.
PG-13 rating.
And Saturday, Aberdeen will begin the swimming portion of the District 4 2A championships at Mark Morris High School. Daniel, let us know what you think about the diving there as someone who did it. Let us know in the comments how tough that is to get to state.
pretty cool that as a sophomore, Zeke Olsen, and now from what we understand from Rob, there had to be some finagling to make it so he could compete because there wasn't enough 2A divers, so he competed with the upper classifications, worked around to make things work so he could compete with them, so he could qualify.
So okay, I see how it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
That's
great
awesome.
job to Zeke Olsen as a sophomore doing something that not only did you do with exceptional skill, but I would be afraid to do at all, which is try to do fancy dives into a pool off of a platform or a diving board.
Absolutely.
Good job by you, Zeke.
Okay, so there's some comments that I don't need to read over there. Just checking. Andrew's been moderating the comments. Okay. Goals update. Did you get one?
You know,
I don't think I got one this week.
I did get one from Eddie.
Did I get one?
I got one from Eddie, but he was telling me about things that were going to happen. And then I don't think we got an update on what actually did happen.
Okay, yeah.
He gave me a rundown of what games were coming up, but I don't think I ended up getting anything about what games actually happened.
Okay.
So for 1 week, I think we're going to skip the goals update.
Okay.
Because we don't have much of anything.
I'm fine with it. We've also already had a decently long show, and we got a lot more to get to.
Yeah. So let's talk about this Monte at Hoquiam boys basketball game. And we already talked to Leonard Barnes.
Do we have to?
I think because of the significance of what it meant, I think we should talk about it a little bit. We did.
I'm just going to keep making weird noises till you stop.
We did. We did already talk with Leonard Barnes a lot about Monte's boys basketball team.
Yeah.
I think it's worth noting that after going 1-3 through the league in the first half of league play, they now have won 4 league games in a row. They beat everyone the second time through, including Tenino, the league champs.
Take that, Tenino.
Take that, Tenino. The only loss Tenino suffered in league this season was to Montesano, and I think it's significant because, for me it's significant because it means that the first game of district play will be a home game, and I don't have to drive anywhere.
You don't have to drive to, let's see, where would it have been? It would have been, because you would have been the 3 seed.
Yeah.
So you would have had to drive to Le Center.
Yeah. And I already did that once this year, so I don't want to do it again.
Wait, have you guys played Le Center already?
We played at Le Center the second or third game of the year.
And you
won by 12 points.
Okay, so I have the feeling, transitive law.
Yeah.
And I'm, again, just trying to prolong you talking about the actual game.
Yeah. It is a little difficult to tell.
I have the feeling that Monty's going to beat Stevenson.
Yeah.
Elma's going to beat Le Center. Tenino's going to beat Kingsway. Hoquiam will fall against Seton Catholic, but then beat Stevenson.
So,
what do you think about that?
I agree with you that is very possible.
Okay.
It's a little hard to get a feel for the Trico League because in some of the crossover matchup, like Castle Rock, Monty played twice and beat them. They're not very good, but they ended up near bottom of the league.
Right.
Didn't make the playoffs.
Okay.
Le Center, Monty beat by, I think, 10 or 12, but that game was much closer than that, and it kind of got away from them at the end. And also, we were told, and I have no idea how true it is, that Le Center was missing a player that day.
Dude, I don't know if you know this about Le Center.
Do they say that a lot?
They say crap like that all the time.
So
Like,
while I feel
every time Monty beats them in football, they're like, "No, we didn't have everybody."
We've been talking all season about how strong this Evergreen 1A league is. And I don't know if we have one team that's going to go compete for a state title. I don't know if we have Zilla's really good. Linden Christian's really good. I don't know if we have a team.
Zilla, I don't have too much animosity against them, but Linden Christian, I barely got that word out of my mouth.
Yeah, they're gross.
It's disgusting.
But they're really good. And Zilla
shocking.
has 3 kids who are being recruited to college. So
really?
Yeah. And they're undefeated. So there's some really good teams at the top of 1A, so I don't know if we have a team that's going to go compete for the state title. But I feel like we have 3 teams who could go compete for a state trophy.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's what I've kind of been driving at. I think this league is so good and it's been so competitive. So not only are the teams good, but they've been playing against each other.
Yes,
which iron sharpens iron, as the Bible says.
Yeah, it does.
So playing against each other helps them be ready for high level competition. So I think it was significant for Monty to be able to go through the league in the second half of the season after having a portion of the league schedule where they really struggled and lost, like choked a couple of close games where they had the lead late, and go undefeated through the second half of league play, and then jump over the top of Elma's a really good team. So to jump over the top of Elma to get the 2 seed in a home game at the beginning of the district tournament.
It's huge.
So if you missed the Monte Hoquiam game on Friday,
I don't want to talk about
it started a blowout. It was a blowout in the middle. It was a blowout at the end.
You could have just said it was a blowout. You didn't have to emphasize it 3 times.
Tice Peterson, who, as I've shared many times, I have a special affinity for Tice Peterson, not only as a player, but as a person. I think he exemplifies what leadership is. I think he exemplifies what unselfishness is. His shots were all falling, and he was hot. Playing the team game, he scored 23 points and actually sat pretty good portion of the end of the game because the score wasn't close. Tice Peterson is coming on, as Coach Barnes said, he's coming on at the right time of the season for Monte, because you have DeLon Chan, who over a stretch of like 10 or 12 games averaged over 20 points a game. And if Tice is going to step up and score big as well, I think that's a big deal. And also knowing that your team defensively through league play held these other really good teams to an average of 51 points a game, you got to feel pretty good about your chances going forward.
Absolutely. Talking to Leonard Barnes, so much of what I mentioned in that interview with the depth and the athleticism, it also helps so much when you have multiple players who you're comfortable with handling the ball securely.
Yeah.
When you get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Tice, DeLon, I would say your son Peyton is a very secure handler of the ball when it's in his hands.
Passing, but not too much dribbling, more than like 3 or 4 dribbles.
But he's strong with it.
He's going to make a good decision.
From what I know of Peyton, he knows himself well too.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to grab the ball and try and like dribble the length of the court through traffic.
Most of the time, no.
Right. Jackson Wilson handles the ball very well.
Excellent, yeah.
Tarek
also
Gunter
off the bench.
also handles the ball very well.
Yeah.
Those are strengths. Coach mentioned defense and rebounding.
Yeah.
Huge. The next one, handling the ball under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get into districts, the intensity levels up, and the officials struggle to match that intensity oftentimes.
Yeah.
So what you see is very intense defense with a ton of slaps and a ton of attacks at the ball and a ton of times where turnovers are likely to happen. And yet if you have someone who is calm, cool, collected, and strong with the ball and good at ball handling, they do an okay job.
Yeah.
Do you think that's accurate? Because
Yes.
I've seen so many teams come into the playoffs and they're like really good, and then all of a sudden the defense just kind of flusters them, and all of a sudden 10 turnovers later.
Since we've done big throwbacks, not every team has an Evan Newton who can dribble through double teams and split them like crazy.
You know what's funny is I was just telling
Evan Newton, former Hoquiam Grizzly, for people who don't know.
Yes, I was just telling my wife about Evan Newton the
He's
other
so
night
good. Oh my
because
gosh.
my wife's really good at deducing what things mean from the word or the description, like what it is in the situation, in the context.
Okay.
So we were at a rec basketball game, and I was like, oh, that team's pressing, and that guy did exactly the opposite of what you want to do in a press. And she was like, okay, so here's what I think a press is. And so she was mostly right, so I went and defined it a little bit, and I talked to what you normally want to do. And then I was like, but there's this one kid, Evan Newton, who would literally just dribble circles around everybody and through a quadruple team and then pass it to a kid, and they would get an easy lay-in every time. And we called him the human press breaker, and you didn't have to do.
He was really amazing.
He was so good. Anyway, but we've seen that a lot of times in playoffs.
Yeah.
Where if you don't have someone who can handle the ball securely and smartly, it can lead to a lot of turnovers and a lot of momentum for the other team. And so I think that Monte's just got so much depth and all of those things that we've heard is important in the playoffs. Defense, rebounding, ball handling.
Yeah.
I think they're a team poised to make a nice run into what I think should be could be a state tournament run. And I think Elma, defense, rebounding, have some pretty good ball handlers.
And good depth.
Yeah. Tenino. I don't know anything about Tenino's depth, but I know that Gonya and Scal, is it Scal?
Yeah.
At the top,
He's going to be the league MVP.
they're really good.
Yeah.
They've proven that they can play against top-level competition against Monte and Elma, so I trust that they are also up there.
Yeah.
So
And they were the best defensive team in the league this year.
So it would not surprise me one bit if Tenino, Monte, and Elma all went on to state. The tough thing is, though, I've heard Seton Catholic's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So that's the one team that could
Yeah.
throw some wrenches into that from down south.
I don't want to completely disregard La Center. I did think that when they played Monte, they were competitive.
Anytime I can, I'm going to.
In a one-game sample size in basketball.
Unless there's a Witten on the team.
Caddy.
And as we're going with our, we called her Caddy at first because there was a typo.
Yeah.
It turned out her name was just Katie.
Yeah, which is a name.
Yeah.
Caddy is not a name.
Nope.
So, I don't want to completely disregard La Center. And actually, from looking at the game results, Stevenson's not bad. They're definitely not a bad team. So I don't want to make it seem like the Trico League is just trash. But I do want to convey how good I think the Evergreen League is this year. And I don't think that's normal. I think we've had a lot of years where we think the Evergreen League's kind of weak.
Yeah.
And there's maybe one or two teams at the top that are pretty good.
Yeah.
This is a good league.
Yeah.
So
in general, I'm biased toward the Evergreen League. The last few years, I haven't been.
Yeah.
But this year, I'm back on it, and I'm all on it.
I mean, if you want proof of my non-bias, on the girls' side, the Evergreen League's pretty weak.
Yeah, I'll let that cough linger in there because it's
something about my body didn't want to spit it out, so my throat got choked up.
Whereas on that side, I think Monty's probably the only team that has a shot.
Yeah.
At
well, undefeated in league play and not particularly close.
Not close at all. And yet, to Monty girls basketball standards,
my body really did not like me saying that.
Yeah, seriously, it's rejecting every bit of that.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to fight. They're going to have to fight to get into state.
Yeah. Well, and particularly on the girls' side, and we haven't talked about this a lot, but I had this conversation with my son earlier. I know I've been spoiled because Monty has had some really good girls' teams.
So good. Gosh, the last decade.
And
almost since Jordan Spradlin, right? Did they have a lull in between Jordan Spradlin and that next?
Nope.
Yeah, so
it went straight from Megan Choate to Jordan Spradlin to McKinley Dalen, and all their teams were good in between.
Yeah.
But for the most part, those teams weren't winning state trophies.
Who is the... Oh, this is going to drive me crazy.
Bobby Fry.
Bobby Fry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's exactly
Bobby
the
Fry
name I
was
trying to
really
think
good,
of.
but those teams weren't particularly good in the postseason, but Bobby was a really good athlete.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of really good girls teams, and even those teams, which were some of the best girls teams I've ever seen, weren't going and winning state trophies. Thanks a lot, WIAA and regional round.
Regional round.
But something would happen that would prevent them from going and achieving at the highest level. And this Monty team is really talented, but they're super young. The three best players on this team, Lex Stanfield, Jilly Dalen, sophomores.
Right.
Tiander Olson, freshman.
Yep.
So they're going to be really good for the next couple of years. But this year, what's going to happen when they go to state and regionals? I don't know.
Especially since Jilly's really the only one with experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although Stanfield's been amazing.
Yeah.
Especially on the defensive side, but also that girl can shoot. Mm-hmm. She went 4 for 4 from the 3-point line in a game last week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Which is good to see because I watched them play again. The only game I've seen them play this year is Napavine.
Yeah.
And Napavine's
that one didn't
good.
go well, but Napavine is a steamroller.
It's a really good program.
Yeah. Program?
Yeah.
That is a program.
It is a program.
Yeah. Is Monty Girls a program?
Depending
different
on how
coaches. Different coaches. So can you be a program if you switch coaches?
Wait.
Because Julie Graves was the coach,
but
through a lot of it.
Yeah, but Mansfield's had his own success.
Yeah. No, they both have. But I'm saying,
I would say the program has survived the coaching transition.
Okay. So it was a program under Julie Graves,
and
Mark Mansfield continued the program.
I think so.
Which is better than a program for those who are keeping track at home.
Absolutely. Really quick, I asked Daniel about diving, and I don't want to lose this. He said because diving is so hit and miss between schools, it's tough. Each pool and diving board is different, as well as each set of judges.
Just like basketball courts.
Yeah.
Everyone's a little different.
That's a good point. Yeah, and a little bit less different.
so much.
A little
So
bit less
much
different.
less
But it's more the lighting. The lighting's the only real change.
Well, and the backdrop.
Elma is
depth
super-
Perception.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those things play such a huge factor.
Actually,
Anyway,
I said
digress.
it as a joke, but now I changed my mind. They're
Yeah.
really different.
State, he said, State is wild, such a huge venue. Standing in a Speedo, having to perform a dive with all eyes on you is an extremely great development experience for kids.
You know what, little Daniel? You're not going to convince me that you didn't love everyone staring at you in a Speedo. So
He says it forces individual performance under pressure along with direct judgment of how they did. I also believe the experience I had diving directly helped further my career.
also, little Daniel, admit to me that you loved people staring at you in a Speedo. Go ahead. In the comments. Admit it.
So anyway, I didn't want to, since I specifically asked him a question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this Monte team, they'll either grow up fast or wait till next year.
Yeah.
Because I think they have talent, but as you mentioned, it's young talent.
Yeah.
So is this the growing year, or are they going to exceed expectations and get a regional round game?
Yeah. And also, like, I don't want to. So I just did a thing, and then my body rejected it, where I said that the Evergreen 1A Girls League was down this year.
Yeah, they are.
And I'm sorry, but like, it's true. But
Yeah.
that's not me saying that like all the players are bad.
No.
Like, there are teams that are in development.
Yeah.
Eatonville's pretty good. Eatonville has a junior.
Don't bring up Eatonville.
No, just listen. I'm gonna get to a local team. Eatonville has a junior who's about to eclipse 1,000 points, and then is also a defensive player. That's good, and will become a senior who's already 1,000-point scorer next year.
Dang.
And Elma has, like, I don't know that they have a player who stands out, but if you go look at the Elma results in all their different games, there's a different top 2 leading scorers every time. Like, it's Eliza Sibbett, it's Kiki Bowl, it's Olivia Moore, it's Emmy Spencer. Like, every time you're going to have a different person who scored in the top 2. So, like, there's depth there, and there's something to work with. It's just that I've seen some really good teams in this Evergreen 1A Girls League.
Yeah.
And I think as good as I think Monte has been able to compete this year, as young as they are, I don't think they're as good as they have been in previous iterations.
Right. And remember, in there was that run of Elma squads, too.
So they had great teams.
With
They won the league titles several years in a row before Jordan Spradlin came around.
Yeah, and in between.
Yeah.
As well, with Jalen Sackrider
Right.
and Johnson and...
Boy, if you go back far enough, Brooke Goldsmith, oh my gosh,
but
that girl was amazing.
It was the senior class of Sackrider, Johnson, the coach's daughter, who dealt with injuries.
Yes.
And then...
I know who you're talking
Rambo.
about. Yeah, Kaylee Rambo.
She was awesome. And then there's another player in there that I'm just blanking on right now who was also a stud. Anyway, that senior class.
I can picture that girl's face in my head.
Yeah.
But I can't think of her name. Sorry.
Peyton something. Anyway, that class, we know Jalen a little bit now afterwards.
Yeah.
But her class was awesome.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit more used to, and Hoquiam had some pretty good teams in there, but they were going up against those two teams.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit of recency of like what we're used to.
Yes.
To what we're seeing this
That's
year.
exactly it. It's not like when I say the Evergreen 1A Girls League is down.
Yeah.
It's not me saying this league's terrible. It's me saying, like, we've seen some really good teams.
Yeah.
And so there are programs building now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Back to the boys, because it seems like they're up from recent experience.
Yes, there's been a lot of... I don't know why I feel more comfortable saying this with the boys than I do with the girls, but there's been some really bad Evergreen 1A boys leagues over the last several years.
Right.
And this one is the best that I recall in quite a while.
Right. So we got Tenino at the top.
Yeah.
Clear
Led by
MVP.
Noah Scow and Austin Gagne. And you will not catch me saying this about Tenino people very often. Those kids are good. And at the beginning of the season, when I said Elma was the best team in the league, I underestimated the supporting cast around them because they have a post named Burkhart who gobbles up rebounds and scores inside. And they have another kid named Will Feltus who plays outside really well. And he's their point guard. And that Tenino team is better than I even anticipated.
And then you have Elma, who we anticipated was going to be good.
Yeah.
A ton of experience.
Yes. And
Monte,
they were playing with Carter's. Just as a side note, Traden Carter played. We learned from Matt Ferrier, their coach, when we talked to him a couple weeks ago,
Right.
that Traden Carter, who may be their best player, definitely one of their 2 best players, was playing through injury for a lot of the season and is just kind of finally starting to get healthy.
Right. And then Monte.
8 seniors.
8 seniors.
Ton of experience.
Greatest coach you could ever want.
Exchange student as a junior who came in, DeLon Chan.
Right.
Nobody saw it coming. I keep having people tell me, like, how did you go find this guy, Montesano? And I was like, when this guy came here, nobody knew anything. Like,
it
Coach
wasn't-
Barnes just told us he didn't know who he was till November. He'd never played anything besides 3-on-3
Right.
playground ball.
This was not Hoquiam finding Emmy Johansson,
Yeah.
who literally was on the Icelandic Junior Olympic basketball team.
And
This
yeah.
was not that.
Yeah.
This was, we got this exchange student. And then in PE, they're like, some of the kids were like, holy, this guy's pretty good.
And for a little bit of forced perspective here, let's say things go a little different and the 2 close games where Monte lost to Elma and lost to Hoquiam in the first time through league play, let's say they won those. And they tied Tenino for the league champion.
In different timeline, okay.
I'm in an alternate timeline,
Right.
where Monte shares the league title. DeLon Chan is in the running for league MVP.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I see what you're going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
can
want
see it.
to. It's just an emphasis on how good this kid has been and
Right.
how important he's been to the team.
So we know those 3 teams. We feel very confident with those 3 teams.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Hoquiam's chances in this district tournament, especially knowing they're going up against the 1 seed to open it? But then how do you feel about them maybe in the second round?
I love talking about alternate timelines
It's fun.
and alternate dimensions. I'm kind of a nerd.
Don't
anyway,
get me going about portals.
Okay. Wormholes? Okay. So how I feel about Hoquiam is, we just watched them put up 80 points against Eatonville,
Right.
and then 3 days later put up 28 points against Monte. There's a level of experience they're missing, and they have not been particularly good defensively. Like, if you just take league play, and I did this earlier because I'm a massive nerd.
Yes.
If
We
you
know.
go and just average out how many points each team allowed in league play, Tenino was the best defensive team. Monte was second. Elma was third. Hoquiam was substantially fourth, which, if you think of Jeff Nemi,
Don't
their
forget
head coach.
Eatonville was substantially 5th.
Yeah, true. But if you think of Jeff Nemi, their coach, and the kind of things that he's preaching,
Yes.
Nemi is a defensive guy.
Yep.
And defense is important to him, and it's important in basketball and his team in general.
Yeah.
So I worry that as Hoquiam has not been a particularly good defensive team, yeah, they might be able to score. Like, if you get Joey Bozic open and he can knock down some threes, you know what Lincoln Nemi is capable of, dropping 40, 30, 27, 28 points on a regular basis.
Xander put up 30 the other night.
Xander's
blows
put up,
my mind.
Xander's put up 30 multiple times this year.
That's
while
crazy.
also grabbing double-digit rebounds.
That's crazy.
You got Chris Bryson in there to knock a couple of threes down and block a bunch of shots, and then you got Aiden Butcher to clean up the boards. Like, this Hoquiam team has all the pieces to put together to compete with anyone. But on any given day, will they do it? And will they have the depth? And will they go out and compete the way that they need to defensively to beat good teams? And that's the one thing that I wonder about.
Right. Either way, district week and a half is the best week
It's
and a half.
going to be nuts.
I'm going to have no sleep.
Yeah.
My son, I'm trying to figure out if, like, okay, how do I make it so, like, can Anchor sit on my backpack? Like, can I wear Anchor on a backpack and broadcast a basketball game at the same time? Hoop.
Yeah.
He's grown out of that a little bit. Now he says basketball.
Nice. Does he say buckets yet?
I need to teach him buckets.
buckets.
I need to teach him buckets. I will say, after he's watched a couple of my rec basketball games in person, he has stopped shooting underhand granny style.
Yeah.
And now he goes up to his little basketball hoop and goes like this.
Okay. All right. He's getting the wrist flick
He's
in there.
already got the wrist flick.
Okay.
Little snot.
Yeah.
I didn't figure that out till I was 25. No, I'm just kidding. But
Just make sure he doesn't leave it up there.
yeah. I'll teach him to follow his
That's
shot.
good follow
Don't worry.
through. That's good follow through, though.
Keep the follow through, but also follow his shot.
A lot of kids don't follow their shot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Number one priority, score. Number two priority, follow your shot.
I love districts. Districts is so much fun.
We've had a lot of good times.
We've had so many good memories.
Yeah.
Dude, 1A district championships at Hoquiam.
Yeah.
It's not at Kelso this year.
Yes.
That's exciting.
I think I'm just going to take my family and be like, we're just going to be at the gym all day.
Yeah, because why would you ever go anywhere else?
It's going to be the best.
When we were at Hoquiam Square Garden on Friday, and I had some people who were with me who haven't been to a lot of games at Hoquiam.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, that's really cool how they have on the side of the scoreboards numbers, fouls, points. No other high school gyms have that. And I was like, you didn't know? Like, this venue's amazing.
Hoquiam Square Garden's legit.
We've been talking about lately how many amazing venues we have locally as I've traveled all over the western side of the state to all these different basketball venues, and so many of them suck.
Yes.
Hoquiam Square Garden, Bo Griffith Memorial Gymnasium, Elma High School, Sam Ben Gym.
Yeah.
These are really good venues. So I hope that the people who
awesome.
live here appreciate how good these places are.
Absolutely. And just to put it into better perspective, Rick Anderson, renowned sports writer and editor,
legend,
said that maybe Kelso's gym competes with Hoquiam as the best gym in Southwest Washington.
I've been there.
I like Hoquiam Square Garden better. Me too.
Hoquiam's better.
I can't be more proud right now. And yet, I have ultra fond memories because when Monte opens up that second level, it adds a total nother dimension.
Well, Bo Griffith is great.
Yeah.
I don't know how to compare these venues to each other, but I can tell you that I've never been to a basketball game at Hoquiam Square Garden and gone away thinking that was lame.
Right.
It's a great venue.
Absolutely. So we get the district championships locally. So even if you don't have a team that's like in one of the games playing that day, go watch. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
We have our athlete of the week. Is that next?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we should.
Do you want to talk about it?
We should talk about it a little bit.
Let's talk about it and not dwell on it.
Okay, so we'll talk about it quickly and then get to a commercial break. And can you read the commercial break this time? I'll hand it to you.
Sure.
Okay, cool. So
For normal reasons.
There's craziness that happened Aberdeen against Shelton.
Yeah. We did tease that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that more later.
This is bonkers.
Yeah.
So Aberdeen's playing at Shelton, right?
Yeah.
And are we going to leave the names out of this?
I think so because they're high school kids.
Okay.
So Aberdeen girls.
There's there's a missed shot.
Yeah.
An Aberdeen player gets the rebound, contested by the Shelton player who missed the shot.
Yeah.
Ball goes to the ground. Players go to the ground. Generally a normal scrap for the ball. And then all of a sudden, one of the players, the Shelton player, just starts punching the Aberdeen player in the head.
Yeah. First in the face, and then once she's curled up and covered her... The initial punch was
shot
to
got
the
her in the
face.
face. Oh my gosh.
And then she curled up and covered her head with her hands.
So hard
and then
not
the
to say that-
Shelton player continued to punch her in the head.
I'm trying so hard not to say the name right now because I know the girl who got punched, and I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and if you're interested in seeing this video, we posted it on all of our socials, and the only one it remains on is X, formerly Twitter.
It's gone on Instagram too.
It's on Instagram, and it's still there. I will say that I knew that this video was going to be of local interest, and some people might pay attention to it outside of that.
Right.
I didn't anticipate that it was going to get around 1 million views.
Oh my gosh.
Before it got pulled off of a couple of the platforms, and now it's only on Twitter, where you can find it if you go to our Twitter at the Scrimmage.
It's still on Instagram.
Yeah, it's on Instagram. It just didn't get nearly as much traction on there.
Oh, gotcha. I got to say, my buddy from work who lives in Kelso said one of his random Facebook friends shared this video, and he sent me a screenshot on it and was like, hey, I know that page.
Two local news networks also reached out to us and asked permission to use our video because I just screen recorded what was on NFHS. And then Shelton went, and I don't know how they did it, but they tried to remove all evidence of the video from the internet, but it was already there.
Yeah. You can't do that. The internet is everlasting.
And I understand that why they would want to try to erase it, because it's a high school girl.
Right.
She's not a minor. She's 18. She was arrested. She will appear before a judge.
Wow.
For assault.
Wow.
What floored me the most about this, what I was most surprised by, was going into the comments of this video and realizing how many people were going, oh, well, the Aberdeen player swung first. So I would like to clear up a couple of things because I pretty much guarantee you I've watched this video more times than anyone else.
Yeah.
As that little skirmish for the ball is happening, the Aberdeen player reaches over the head of the Shelton player,
Right.
which was a foul. And if you pay attention to the referee, he's calling a foul on the Aberdeen player.
Okay.
But she wasn't taking a swing at the Shelton player. She's reaching over to where she thought the ball was.
Right. That's exactly how
And
I
it's
thought it went.
very obvious that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So if you watch the video and you think something different, counterpoint, you're dumb.
You generally are looking where you're trying to put your hand,
Yes.
and she's not looking at the face of the other person who her hand is going over. She's looking down at the ground and trying to get her arm to that spot.
So in the meantime, as we already mentioned, there had been multiple technical fouls and bench warnings assessed in this game. It was very tense. And I think what happened, as the Aberdeen player pulled her arm over the head of the Shelton player, she also caught her ponytail in her arm. Mm-hmm. So the Shelton player thinks, this girl took a swing at me, and now she's pulling my hair.
Right.
I don't think that was the intention from the Aberdeen player at all.
Right.
And I believe that's how it was perceived by the Shelton player. So when the Shelton player gets her hair loose, she gets up, she has leverage over the top of the Aberdeen player. She punches her in the face,
Right.
gets her to the ground, and then instead of jumping off of her, she stays on top of her. As the Aberdeen player is covering her head, she continues to punch her in the head.
Yeah.
So the thing that has floored me the most about this is the amount of people going in the comments going, well, the Aberdeen player swung first. The Aberdeen player's wrong. The Aberdeen player's wrong. Both are at fault. Both should be punished.
Right.
And again, counterpoint, you're dumb. Like, if you watched that video and took anything away from it besides something happened in a basketball play and the reaction was something that's not basketball anymore,
Right.
you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, the Aberdeen player did something that was a foul.
Yeah.
She was going to get called for a foul, and the Shelton's player's response was, I'm going to repeatedly punch you while I have you in a vulnerable spot.
And even the initial punch, as you just mentioned.
Blocked by the referee, by the way, in the video. You can't see the initial punch very well.
But I would have so much more grace for punch.
And then get off.
Yeah. But the repeated
because if you think you're attacked,
Yeah.
it's if you think you're attacked, it's appropriate to disengage violently.
Disengage
push
violently.
off.
Yes,
Hey, you
exactly
pulled my
right.
hair, I'm pushing away from
If
you.
she threw her hands and jumped up, that's different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say, even though this kid is not a minor,
Yeah.
it is a high school student.
Yes.
I am going to assume that this is not a terrible kid.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this kid.
You're not interested in canceling her?
No.
Oh.
Not one bit.
Interesting, because half of the internet is. The other half is blaming the Aberdeen player for quote-unquote swinging first. And half says, cast this Shelton player into the eternal flames of hell.
No. This is probably a kid who A, had a really bad day, or B, has had some crap go on in her life.
And definitely had a bad moment in a tense game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is not... charged with assault. I hope that something happens with this that doesn't ruin this girl's rest of her life.
Yeah.
Because I don't view her like that at all. Do I think she was do I think she was in the wrong? And this is a crazy situation, and I hate her reaction to it, and I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
With everything you just said. I don't want this girl to just have her life ruined because of this crazy thing that happened in a basketball game.
She made a bad mistake.
Yes.
And she needs to be held accountable for the bad mistake that she made, which had a negative effect on another person.
Right.
So once that point is reached where you have now been held accountable for assaulting this other person.
Right.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be demonized.
Exactly.
Like, you're still, like you said, not a minor, 18 years old, still a high school kid.
Yep.
Like, we're all allowed to make mistakes when we're teenagers.
Yep.
Your mistake hurt someone else.
Yes.
By hurting someone else, it requires you to suffer some consequence for that.
Yep.
Once that's happened, you don't need to be a bad person forever.
Exactly.
And we can move on from that.
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
So with that said, people on the internet
Stop
blaming the Aberdeen player and saying that she initiated it because she did not.
Seriously. And watching her play, no chance.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting is on the Cairo 7 news report, which, by the way, the fact that it was an 18-year-old who was arrested and charged, that came from Cairo News. We're not journalists. We're not reporting on that. We just kind of shared.
Well, we're both journalists, kind of. I mean, we both have history as journalists.
We're journalist adjacent.
Well, we both have history as journalists.
Yeah. I'm interested in journalism, and I appreciate it.
Okay.
But when we shared the video, it was more like, hey, this is news, react to it. We didn't even initially share our opinion on it.
Exactly.
But once it was shared and news stations started to pick it up, like the stuff like, hey, there was a police report,
right.
She was charged, she was arrested, she's not a minor. That all came from official, actual reputable news outlets.
Right.
Cairo 7, I think Fox 13 also reported on it. So this is what's happening. And then it turned into a bigger story because they had already been working on a story about the Shelton football program.
Oh,
in which the Shelton football coach had been teaching a weight room class and had kids doing contact drills, and there were injuries.
Interesting.
So there's already something happening at Shelton High School.
Huh.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on that.
We will.
Are we good with this?
Yeah.
All right. I think it's time to take a break because we still have our Athlete of the Week and a little bit of teaser of something we're excited about.
Yeah.
That is a growing thing that I think is just getting better and better. But first, a word from our sponsors before we announce our Athlete of the Week.
Spivey Realty Group's goal is to make buying, selling, and investing and renting real estate in Grays Harbor simple. They believe in 100% transparency and unparalleled communication with local expertise, tech-enhanced, and top-end neighbors and community. Their goal is simple. Get a group of strong-willed, hard-working people together who want to make a difference in Grays Harbor and use real estate as the means of achieving that. Voted Grays Harbor's best real estate company. Find them on Facebook or visit graysharborrealestate.com. Spivey Realty Group, elevating small-town real estate. By the way, if you're interested in finding Spivey Realty Group, you can find them through our Facebook page because we often tag them in our Spivey Athlete of the Week, and sometimes we share their posts as well, and they do great work for Grays Harbor County. So, first off, I'm going to, real quick, before Daniel gets out here, I'm going to tease something that we've been working on that's a project of ours, and we're very excited about it. The Evergreen 1A defensive all-league teams. We did this last year, and it was kind of a last-minute idea. We threw it together. We got voting from our local schools just on the boys' side. So Hoquiam, Monte, and Elma. And we combined that with our votes, and we named defensive Evergreen 1A all-league teams. This year we decided with a little bit more planning, we could not only expand to inviting all coaches to vote in the league, including Tenino and Eatonville, but we also could include the girls' side as well. So we are very excited to do that. Most of those votes are in. We're going to have a couple more ballots coming in as well. But Daniel, I know that defense is important to you.
Yes.
So share for about 40 seconds why it is.
Defense is near and dear to my heart. I'm going to look right into the depths of your souls. Because without defense, the other team scores more points. And you know what? If you're playing a game and you're trying to score more points than the other team, it is important to keep them from scoring points. It is also near and dear to my heart because that was my main contribution to the basketball teams which I played on, was to keep the other team's best player from scoring points. That was the way that I got to find myself on the floor. And it is also a good reminder to those of you who love to play basketball, but maybe you're not the all-star scorer who's scoring 30 points a game. Maybe you're not the 6'8" kid who is blocking shots or getting rebounds or is a star just because he is tall. You can still have a very, very important role on the basketball team of which you want to play on. Kids I think of, like Peyton Domashevitz,
No
aforementioned in the coach's interview with Leonard Barnes, like Xanto Reyes.
Yeah.
Reyes?
Reyes. Yeah, I think so.
very important to his team, and I have seen him play excellent defense. He's not 6'8". He's not the kid scoring 30 points.
He might be 5'8".
He maybe not, but he is extremely valuable.
He's either 5'8" or he isn't.
Yeah, to his team. And that is why, if you love the sport of basketball and maybe you love dribbling it around and you like to put it up, but you can't always get it in. Defense. Stop it, Justin.
You just sometimes you have to penetrate. Like you have to get the ball inside. You know what I'm saying?
But if you can stop the ball from getting inside,
Yeah.
extremely valuable.
Well,
and so that is, I was giving you 40 seconds on why defense is near and dear to my heart.
appreciate that. You spoke very eloquently.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
I love it.
So
Also, really quick, so you said, Daniel, by the way, you said, don't tell me you didn't love being, he says in all caps, yes, I absolutely loved it. Actually, he didn't say absolutely. I nailed it. I added that. He said, yes, I loved it. It's an adrenaline thing. This is back to him as a diver at the state tournament. Having all eyes on you feels awesome unless you fail.
Yeah, but it wasn't really about all eyes being on him.
Yeah.
It was about all eyes being on him in a Speedo, which I know he loved.
Yeah. Diving is a constant back and forth with lots of failures, but hitting a good dive knowing that everyone and their mom is watching feels amazing.
He wanted the moms to watch, huh?
I think he was more just proud that his mom was watching him doing something.
Oh, his
great.
mom. That changes it.
I don't know. So, Andrew, the little heart thing on my screen, what does his comment actually say? Knowing that...
It says hitting a good dive knowing everyone and their mom is watching.
Oh, okay. It
feels
does say that.
amazing.
I assumed that's what it said.
Why did he include the moms?
Because
Because
all
it's
the
a
families
saying.
are there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a saying. Come on.
Also, shout out
Is this
to
like a
Daniel.
Stacey's mom has got it going on?
Tomorrow
kind of thing,
is
or?
his 34th
It's his birthday tomorrow.
34th
Fourth.
birthday.
34th birthday.
Oh, he's
Happy birthday to Daniel Gross.
He's old.
I'm 35.
You're old too.
Stop it.
I'm not old.
You're older than Daniel and Daniel, and I'm older than all of you.
Oh, it's a weird world.
Yeah, it's a weird world in which people are old. What did he say? Is it repeatable?
He says he's older now. Into moms. All right, Justin. Did we give enough tease to our... I got to say,
so in
the
case-
one thing we're still missing
Yeah.
is we do have a local 2A team.
You know what? I would love to do that.
I would love to do something with Aberdeen.
I super would love to do that.
Yeah.
So in case anybody's wondering why we don't, and this is a good,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought this up.
Right.
So there's basically two options.
Yeah.
We can either do Evergreen 1A, which has 3 of our teams in it,
Yep.
or we can do an all-area defensive team,
Right.
which expands out to B schools and 2A and 1B schools, and there's
gets-
so many more coaches to reach out to, so
Yeah.
many more that I don't know, so many more that I wouldn't know how to even contact.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I apologize to these kids because I feel kind of bad about it. Like, I would love if North Beach and Acosta and Raymond and Willapa Valley and Oakville and Merriam Knight and
Yep.
Lake Quinault and Aberdeen could all be involved in this.
Yes.
But in order to protect my own sanity, it's been difficult enough for me to organize boys and girls side 5 teams.
You've put in a ton of work into this.
So if anyone is wondering, hey, why don't those schlubs on the scrimmage recognize the other teams around? I'm sorry. I can only do so much.
I know.
So
Even with your work, I might overrule it on the girls' side and just say Zoe Tro is the defensive MVP.
you know what? You have a vote just like everyone else.
Right.
I never said in the rules you're not allowed to vote for players outside of the league.
Right?
So vote for Zoe Tro. I don't give a crap.
I might just create an award for her since we're looking at the 1A Evergreen. I think she deserves recognition for the 2A, and we don't need to get any of their opinions.
I
don't know about you, but I don't care what Tumwater people think.
So we don't get any votes. We don't name anyone else, but we just say Zoe Tro is the 2A Evergreen League defensive MVP.
Absolutely, 100%.
No teams outside of that.
I
just
don't care.
Zoe Tro.
Yeah, and then the runner-up is Annie Tro.
Yeah. Almost a triple dub.
Almost
10
with
steals.
steals.
I do still think that we need to come up with a defensive counterpoint to the bucket getter.
We do have kind of a cool name for the rebounding leader.
King of the boards or queen of the boards.
King or queen of the boards.
Yeah.
But we don't have the complete counterpoint to the bucket getter. The stopper, Coach Barnes mentioned the stopper.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Here's the thing.
But I feel like if you're going to be a bucket getter and then counterpoint to the defense, it's got to be more than a stopper. It's got to be like the vault. You got to lock that down.
Here's the thing. Scoring is flashy. There's something like a bucket getter, that's a flashy award.
Yeah.
Defensive specialists, they don't want a flashy award.
That's true.
They want to be defensive league MVP. So I would argue defensive league MVP is the equivalent of bucket getter.
Well, no, because you pick an MVP every year. You don't necessarily pick a bucket getter every year.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if we're going to pick a bucket getter this year, though.
A bucket getter is the Scrimmage's peak offensive basketball award. It's not for being the most valuable player. You can be the most valuable player and not be a bucket getter.
That's true. It's a good point. I'm not sure if
like also, I said, you made a point that was opposite of my point, so shut up, Andrew.
I'm not sure if we're gonna pick a bucket getter this year. We'll have to discuss this. But B, shut up, man. I would have loved a flashy award as a defensive player.
All right. Well, so I was wrong.
But I think you're right mostly. In general, I think I'm the outlier. I love attention.
Really,
I would have loved attention.
All I was doing was trying to make excuses for why we haven't done it, so you ruined it.
I
Congratulations,
ruined it.
both of you ruined it.
It's been ruined.
I do think king or queen of the boards would work for that name. Like the title specifically doesn't reference all of defense.
What about the clamp? You're a clamp.
The clamp.
No, doesn't work.
It's too close to clam.
It's too close to clap.
It's too close to both of those.
Too close to clam and clap.
Vault. Vault doesn't.
If you have
it's
the
not
clap in
catchy.
your clam, that's not good. So now, on that note,
who are nominations?
God, I hope nobody was watching
for this. Who are the nominees? Nom.
I'm too embarrassed to talk.
Okay. We went through the roundup, and there was multiple kids who were like athlete of the week.
So it definitely was Annie Tro.
Yes,
because of 19 points. Was it 19 points?
Let's see.
Well, she had the almost trip dub in the Shelton game where she was 1 point shy of a triple double that included steals.
Right.
And she had 19 points and 3 steals in the Myrtle Street rivalry game.
And Zoe had 11 boards and 8 steals in that game.
Yeah.
And then she led them with 15 points and 9 boards and 7 steals. Dear Lord.
Yeah.
I know where I'm leaning initially. But I'm sure they get crap like this all the time, so I'm not even sure if they'd like it.
Anna Davis.
Okay.
Recorded a double-double in a win on Monday with 17 points and 14 rebounds, and then a double-double with 17 points and 15 rebounds again on Thursday.
That's awesome. But I got to say, just you saying double-dub, that's like the theme of this week's show.
True.
So while I love that, and now I'm kind of leaning that way as well, gosh dang it, what's next?
I'm still just kind of embarrassed that I said that thing.
Yeah, it's okay.
We'll
move on.
Tice Peterson.
I support you.
Thank you.
I'm loving you through it.
Which gets Tice Peterson gets my sentimental pick because I love him. But he led Monte in both of their wins this week in points with 12 points against North Beach. And that game was 63-25. And if I'm being honest, Tice didn't play a whole bunch because there was a ton of subs mixing in that game. He still managed to lead the team with 12 points. And then in the crucial game on Friday, he led all scorers with 23 points against Hoquiam. And
Did Hoquiam beat him in the first matchup?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
How a season shifts.
Overtime.
How a season shifts.
They did a lot of things wrong in that game. The Bulldogs did. So, so Tice leading the team in both, and then 23 points. And again, that was a blowout in the end, and he sat a lot of the second half. So he was incredibly efficient. So Tice Peterson gets a nod there as an Athlete of the Week nominee, and then Zeke Olsen also for Aberdeen boys diving, with an 11 dive total of 203.1 and qualifying for districts. Or no, he won the district title.
Yeah,
qualified for the state berth.
Wait, but he won the district title at a different district.
He competed with higher
different
classifications, but my impression was that he competed with them because there were not enough.
Yeah, but did he beat them, or was he just...
I don't actually know the answer to that.
Okay.
But I think it's still 2A that he won the district title for.
Yes. But did he beat the higher competition?
I don't know. I don't think the information showed that.
Okay. So I'm... We got some tough choices to make here as usual. It'd be really easy if people stopped being so good at
Jilly
things.
Dalen also was 1 rebound shy of 2 double-doubles last week for Monte girls basketball. So
let me read more here about Anna Davis. So Anna Davis,
I'll just tell you,
had 17 and 14 and 3 steals.
Yeah.
And then she had 17 and 15.
And Anna Davis, by the way, was the one who had the triple-double against Hoquiam's JV.
Right.
Was that last week or the week before? I can't remember. But
yeah.
I can tell you because of what felt like... And this, I acknowledge that I fall into the trap of what I see with my own eyes.
Right.
But for Tice, this season has been a thing where, he went from being the unquestioned best scorer on a team to kind of playing second fiddle scoring wise and accepting the role of doing everything else. And he does everything else exceptionally well.
So
defense,
good.
rebounding. And then he's really come on offensively for Monte, as Leonard Barnes said, at the right time. The magnitude of the Hoquiam game was if you win your second place and you host a district game, if you lose your fourth place and you play the Trico champion.
And from what I've heard, far and away the best team in that division.
It seems like.
Yeah.
So the magnitude of that game and the way Tice stepped out, the efficiency with which he scored, knocking down 3-pointers, hitting shots inside while also playing great defense and rebounding. My tendency immediately was to go to Tice Peterson while also acknowledging that, number one, I'm biased because I love him. And number two, I'm biased because I watched it with my own eyes.
Right. 12 points.
12 points in a game that he probably played less than half of.
That's the tough part.
But he led the team, though.
It's a huge game.
Yeah.
And yet they turned it into not a game after what, the first quarter?
It was 20-8 after the first quarter.
And then it wasn't one of those things where the other team battled back.
No.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
I love Tice so much.
Yeah.
He played on a wiffle ball team.
He did.
He got excited when I hit dingers.
Yeah. Which should make you think that he's the best person there is.
He's such a nice kid.
He got excited when you did good stuff.
He made a middle-aged...
That speaks to Daniel.
He made a middle-aged, flabby white guy feel good about himself in a wiffle ball tournament.
Talking about me or you?
Me.
Oh, you're flabby?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Sorry, I'm not sure what that makes you.
I don't know. I was gonna say I was considering myself round.
Round?
Yeah.
Yeah. My brother and I were going over our old nicknames.
Yeah.
Like the Fatty McFat.
Yeah.
The Fatty McSlim.
Yeah. Slimmy McSlim.
I think that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were really skinny.
Really skinny.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Flabby McSlim.
Yeah.
So Gabe Bodwell.
Babe Gobwell. So I love Tice Peterson.
Yeah.
But so I want to share with you my thought process here.
Yes.
The Tros. They're Tro good.
Are we okay? You know what, Daniel? Just throw that away and let's move on to the next thing.
Okay. Then you got Anna Davis,
Yeah.
deserving multiple times this year, but
Accurate.
beat out. But also,
sophomore Anna Davis.
she's a sophomore.
Yeah.
She's a sophomore.
Which is why
and then
when
they
we
have
talked
eighth
about her-
grader
Bristol Toll. So, and we talked about when they beat Hoquiam JV before, like, okay, well, you played a JV team, but then the two best players on their team were a sophomore and an eighth grader.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And then you got Tice Peterson.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, Tro twins, let's do it. You're twins. You both win Athlete of the Week.
Yeah.
Tro twins.
Yeah. Very deserving.
Very deserving. Their weeks are nuts when you look at both of their games.
Yeah. Almost.
They got good escalators because that Shelton win solidified their playoff berth.
Accurate. And one of the games was a Myrtle Street.
Myrtle
rivalry.
Street rivalry game.
Yeah.
Anna Davis.
Yeah.
Double dubs all over the place.
Yeah.
Triple dubs.
Yeah.
Passed. Stud.
Yeah.
Tice Peterson.
Jumped from 4 to 2.
We love him.
Get a home game in the playoffs.
Roots for my home runs and wiffle ball tournaments.
Also, a representation of all that's right in selflessness in basketball.
And I keep bringing up the wiffle ball tournament because I want you to know how biased I am when it comes to these things.
Super biased.
Because that should make no difference as to this
that
decision.
didn't happen this week, Daniel.
Exactly. That was months ago.
Athlete of the year.
We might need Andrew as a tiebreaker
Wow,
here.
we've been going for 2.5 hours.
It's been so long.
Oh, Hannah looks like she wants us to leave.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah. So Gabe Bodwell or
I'm going to throw my vote in.
'Kay.
I'm going to give you a 1, 2, 3.
yeah,
I love all the kids.
whoever says it louder.
My vote goes to our athlete of the week being Annie and Zoe Tro
Okay.
as our athletes of the week. My runner-up is Anna Davis, and my third spot, as much as I love him, is Tice Peterson. That's where I'm leaning, and that's my thought.
Okay. You'd put Tice Peterson third. So I can
But I would be okay with him being second.
Okay, so I can vote for Tice Peterson first
Okay.
and then Zoe and Annie second. And then Zoe and Annie still win, but I can still tell Tice that I voted for him first.
And
okay.
I
So
feel-
I go Tice first and then Zoe, Annie second.
Okay. Andrew, do you have any thoughts?
This is a win-win for me.
Yes, it is.
I like the Tros.
Yeah.
Yeah, classic Bobcat over there, voting
Yep.
for
Yeah.
Bobcats.
Yep.
I'm not biased at all
Okay.
by voting for a Bulldog.
I wish we had a different picture. Maybe we can do some editing magic because the only picture I have with both of them, I think it was Annie was like, man, I'm not
One
in
of them's in a uniform. And
Yeah.
No, we're going to use that one.
Annie's like, I'm not in my uniform.
Yeah, we're going to use that.
And I'm like, it's okay.
we're gonna
and
use that one.
she felt bummed out. She's like, man, I'm not in
Well,
my uniform.
Wait, it was
She has
Annie
a
that was
better
not in the
picture
uniform?
for us
yeah,
now.
Zoe.
We have a picture of Annie in her uniform.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, can you do some, like,
No, I'm going to use the one you took.
okay, understandable. So are we good with that?
Yeah.
Annie,
love it.
Annie and Zoe Tro,
Yeah.
you are only. Whoa.
Whoa.
You are our Spivey Athletes of the Week.
Nah.
Thank you so much
Congratulations.
to Spivey Realty Group, and congratulations to Annie and Zoe Tro. You are our Spivey Athletes of the Week. Your guys' performances this week were absolutely amazing. Offensively, defensively, on the rebounds, everything impeccable. Good luck in your pigtail game. Good luck in districts. I hope I get to cover one of your guys' basketball games in the district tournament in 2A Evergreen versus Greater St. Helens. Yeah. District 4 tournament basketball. You are our Spivey Athletes of the Week. Runner-ups both to Anna Davis and Tice Peterson.
And Zeke Olsen.
And Zeke Olsen. Excellent, excellent performances. But again, thank you to Spivey Realty Group for sponsoring the segment and sponsoring you guys as Athletes of the Week.
Hannah wants us to leave.
Hannah wants us to leave. Let's see. One last comment from Daniel said, heck yeah. Get it. The way swimming districts work, Andrew might know,
I don't.
but he won headed to state is super new. I'm hoping he went to an invitational up there because then there's a bit of knowledge. Andrew, can you translate any of what he just said?
That heading to state is super crazy because the venue is huge, the pool is huge, it's a completely different atmosphere. He's hoping that he went to an invitational up there at that pool, so that then he kind of knows what to expect.
He's hoping
I have
Zeke Olsen
no
went.
idea how swimming districts work.
Gotcha. So he's hoping Zeke Olsen competed at the pool that he's going to, so then he has some familiarity. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right. Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like I failed Tice.
I love Tice.
Yeah.
This was not the week. When Tice drops 25 and then has 15 and 10 in their next 2 district tournament games, he'll be athlete of the week.
Maybe he needs 10 steals.
If I had a favorite player that was not my own son.
I was going to say, dude, your own son plays on the team.
But if I had a favorite player who was not my own son, it'd be Tice.
I'm going to say, if I had a favorite player who wasn't my own son, it'd be your own son.
Whoa!
That's going to do it for our show today. So, for my co-host, Justin Telv Damashevitz.
My co-host Daniel can't say any right words right. Hargrove.
You should have gone with the show sheet. Daniel wrote, "Never forget, I can't remember."
Hold on. 3, 2, 1. And my co-host Daniel can't remember any words right. Hargrove.
Better. Still not great. And our trusty
What was
producer, Andrew. I don't know how swimming works. I just did it for 4 years. Super senior. I don't know. You've been listening to The Scrimmage.
And for my co-host Daniel, never forget, I can't remember Hargrove. Hold on. I can do it better. 3, 2, 1. And for my co-host Daniel, never forget, I can't remember Hargrove. You've been listening to The Scrimmage.
I almost said one of our old words that definitely